You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How are you, Miller and Moulton, a Monday edition when nothing has happened since we last spoke. Not a damn thing. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. How you been?
Been fantastic. Anything happen while I was gone?
No, nothing. Listen, nothing has happened just from lunch yesterday to now.
Right.
The last 18 hours alone have been bat blank crazy. Never mind anything that took place before that on the weekend. Never mind anything that took place late last week.
Right.
Because Mark back after being gone on Thursday and Friday. There were many people wondering on Friday, because you had said, hey, taking a couple days off, playing a little golf tournament at the club, a little member guest thing here. It's a big deal. You do it every year.
I do it every year. It's my favorite outside of family time for my personal life, away from my family. It is my favorite week of the year.
Right. This is your thing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. And so on Friday, I was getting asked by a decent number of people, so do you know how Mark did? And I said, no. No. I said, first off, we don't normally communicate when we're not working together.
Well, and the only thing people care less about than a member guest result is your fantasy football team.
Well, right. But there were numerous people that just wanted to know, whether or not you done well or not. And I said, listen, I don't want to stereotype Mark by saying that if he had played really well and if they had won a couple matches or what have you, that I would have been notified. I go, because I wouldn't have been.
Nope.
I go, it's, he goes deep undercover. So
no, I brought a horse this year to this thing. Enough with friends. I brought myself a horse.
Did you really?
Who happens to be a very good friend, but I brought a very good golfer with me. Enough of this messing around.
Wow.
A similar handicap. Let's bring a stud.
So in other words, when you showed up with Secretariat, were you catching grief on the range and on the putting green?
No, there may be some wagering that goes on.
No.
And we were heavy favorites.
Look at
to
that.
say the least.
Wow.
And delivered.
All right. How's your liver? Doing okay? Need a week of rest?
Wow. Goodness gracious.
All right. Well, I have to admit your coloring's not bad for what you did to yourself over the last 100 or so hours. So,
let's ready to go. Let's talk some bracket. Let's talk some Brady. Let's go, baby.
Well, Brady. Why are we talking Brady?
Couldn't do it. He couldn't stay away, David.
No, he couldn't. Let me tell you.
No one's gotten sick of their husband faster than Giselle got sick of him.
Or no man has gotten sicker of their family in less time than Tom Brady. Man, oh man, what an indictment of his family. If he's 40 days, he's like, get me out of here. Felt badly for Felipe. All right, young Felipe went to the divisional game between the Rams and the Bucs, bought a T-shirt, has been proudly wearing it like once a week, like, yup, this is it, Brady's last game, right here. Did you hear the story of the guy who, like, the night before at an auction, paid over $500,000 for Brady's last touchdown pass?
I love the guy that sold the ball. That's a sale right there.
And 18 hours later, it's no longer Brady's last touchdown pass? I mean, come on. Don't we have to do something here? I mean, that's because it's not Brady. You sold it. The reason it had value is no longer applies.
David, like all commodities, there are ebbs and flows, and this one just happens to be he sold at the perfect time.
I'll tell you what. I think it. You know what? If you're Brady, do you buy it back?
No.
Come on. What? You got so much money. I mean, you did it to this guy. Come on now. I mean,
Maybe that guy did something to Tom.
I mean, you did tell everybody, no, I'm done.
And then the next day he said, well, maybe I'm not.
Well, he said,
never say never.
Never say never.
24 hours later.
So
what's that ball worth now? A couple G's?
Well, whatever.
No,
whatever.
30 cents. Whatever a football's worth.
Yeah, I guess, a Brady touchdown pass to Gronk. It's okay. 2 Hall of Famers. If you could get it autographed, it would have what? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Maybe 1,000 or so. I mean, the guy paid over $500,000 for the ball, which is bad playing crazy, but okay. All right. Whew. Wow. Tom Brady's back. Should we have the poll question what we had a month ago? Where do we think the Bucs are going to finish in the NFC South now?
You're the only one saying the same answer, David. You had them winning the division then. You have them winning the division now.
I had them getting Deshaun, so I had them with a good quarterback this year. I knew Bruce Arians was not coaching Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask. That I knew. No way was Bruce Arians coaching Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask. No. He turned to Todd Bowles, Byron Leftwich, and go, you guys want to be a coach so badly? Knock yourself out. I'm playing golf. Hope this ring doesn't get in the way of my swing. So that's a story. Right in the middle of brackets, too. That sucker came out like, and now we go to unveil the field of 68. Holy blank, Tom Brady's unretired.
I think the line of the night, I think it was Reese Davis, because I'd switched over to ESPN after the initial brackets were over. And I think Reese said during the show, he goes, they put the tweet up again. He goes, and heck, I thought he was just going to tweet out about the Michigan-Colorado State game.
Not that many surprises in terms of who was in, who was out. I mean, by now you got so many good bracketologists. We've got one, Shelby Mast. He'll join us a little bit later on. But Dayton got knocked out by Richmond, who upset Davidson to win the A-10 on Sunday. If Davidson had won, as expected, Dayton would have been the last team in. Instead, they end up being the first team out. I think there's 3 other schools who kind of have their hand raised going, I don't know, I think we got hosed a little bit. SMU, I think 23 wins. But A&M makes it all the way to the SEC final. They knocked out the Gators in the quarterfinal and then, made it all the way to the finals. And a lot of people thought they were in. I will say Joe Lunardi Sunday morning said, or Saturday morning, when A&M was in the final, Joe Lunardi was going, I don't know if I have them in, guys. He goes, I got it between them and Wyoming.
He was trying really politely and really nicely to say, I don't have them in. No offense to Bruce Pearl, who said they're a tournament team. No offense to any of you guys who keep telling me that they're a tournament team. I don't have them in.
Right. Now, he had it down to between Wyoming and A&M for the final spot. So, and Oklahoma had a little bit of a Big 12 tournament run, but they had like a dozen losses, and so they didn't make it. And some were surprised, but not most. But meanwhile, in these parts, the biggest college basketball news is Mike White decides, I'm going to get out ahead of the posse before the posse gets me. And Mike White bolts to Georgia. Leaves the Gators for the Dogs.
If either fan base cared about basketball, this would be a gigantic story, David.
As a gentleman in our Twitch chat room asked, did he get fired or did he just leave? No, he just left. Now, the thought was he was not going to be fired despite not winning 20 games this year, and they were undoubtedly going to miss the tournament, which they did. But that he likely was going to be on the proverbial hot seat when next season began. And so Mike White made a business decision. He's like, well, I'll go somewhere where I can get a 6-7 year contract and I'm on solid ground for at least 4 years, unless, I do the worst job imaginable. I mean, Tom Crean just got 4 years and he did a horrible job. So as opposed to staying in Gainesville where the boosters don't seem all that happy with me, and I'll start next year on a hot seat.
Right. They care slightly more in Florida than they do in Georgia.
Yeah.
In Florida, they'd like to win, and they are supportive when they win. Georgia just has no idea what winning basketball looks like.
No, it's been a really long time. They haven't won a tournament game in 20 years. One tournament game. Haven't won one in 20 years. It's tough to do when you're a Power 5 program,
You do show up there just out of happenstance once in a while.
All right. I mean, a lot of you guys get bids, but they haven't gotten one of them in 7 years either.
Think about that.
Well, and I think, was that the crazy year, or they've only made it once since they had that year where the tornado came through Atlanta and the tournament got moved to Georgia Tech and they won 4 games in 3 days. And yes, that's right. They played 2 games on Saturday and won the morning and the night game so they could play in the final Sunday and win and make it to the tournament. But yeah, not a lot of success. So Mike White bails on the Gators for Georgia. Now, that Gator fans took to Twitter, and it didn't take long to see a tweet something along the lines of, Gator fans haven't been this excited about a Georgia hire since Ray Goff.
Well played. Really is. Don't know
Right,
how
I
else to say
agree.
it's well played.
Yeah. So Georgia had to write a small check, nothing extravagant by modern standards, $1.25 to the Gators. Here you go. Here's $1,250,000.
That should in and of itself be reason not to hire the guy, just for the record. But good luck, Georgia. Here's another 5 years without a tournament appearance.
Well, 7 years with the Gators, for what it's worth, made the tournament 4 times, would have been 5. The pandemic year, and we said it at the time, and I'll say it again. I thought the NCAA did a great injustice to all the basketball teams because the season was ended 48 hours before the brackets were going to be unveiled. And for the most part, I mean, yeah, the major conference tournaments had not yet been played out. In fact, many of them were just beginning, or they were only a round or so in. But as we saw yesterday, I mean, how many teams played their way in the 48 to 72 hours left in the regular season? Richmond in the A10. And we don't know. I mean, and I guess you could argue Indiana.
Indiana did.
Okay, so
they were out.
So Indiana and Richmond played their way in the 72 hours leading up to it. But we thought at the time that really, if the NCAA had it to do over again, that what they should have done is they should have announced, hey, we know the season ended on March 11th or whenever it was, but here was the field. Congratulations to all of you. You can put it up in your rafters. You made the 2020 NCAA tournament. And the Gators would have been one of the 68. And there were a lot of schools like that who don't get to celebrate that and count that as an NCAA tournament appearance, which, kind of sucks. So, but his last 3 years at Florida, he did not win 20 games in any of the 3 seasons.
Now, the good news for Mike White is you go to Georgia and make the tournament 4 to 7 years, you're a hero.
Oh, my goodness. Might rename the arena after you. So just some of what has gone on, Mark, just in case you were out on the course and, the wind, knocked you over and you were trapped in a bunker for 2 hours until they were able to excavate you.
I'll tell you what, I did, Sunday was off. I played Saturday, was the last day of our tournament. That Saturday morning, I don't know if I've ever experienced tougher conditions playing golf. And watching the carnage and seeing the highlights from Sawgrass.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
Wow.
That was fun. Especially for someone like you who loves your carnage, although normally only Father's Day weekend.
But it is you know, when the winds spark up in Florida, have fun, boys. It ain't that easy.
No, Paul Azinger did say midway through the Saturday round, boy, I love this tournament being back in March. They were all going, yeah, you live in Florida. You know what it could be like here. And Zinger goes, I sure do.
You and me both, Zinger. No doubts there.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals. The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
We'll be right back. This will be Felipe time.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, here we go.
Hello, everyone. I found out about Brady while I was playing basketball. I threw that ball, spiked it right into the ground. You know, David, it's funny that you say that, Adam, because David texted me. He goes, well, Philly, turns out that shirt's just a shirt now. And then I texted Mark that he's got to get those season tickets again.
We'll see.
I mean,
already emailed her.
It might even be worth more than it's ever been.
Already emailed her. Sent it late yesterday. Sure, she's got a few emails when she walks in this morning.
Canada Relief. You guys hear about the $650 price tag that comes with Vancouver Canucks? Yeah.
No, I didn't, nor do I care.
But aren't hockey jerseys like super expensive like that?
They're not $650 as far as I know.
I went to, well, I mean, obviously it's at the pro shop at the stadium, but I went to a Panthers game. There was like an authentic one that was $1,200. And I was like,
look at that. I'd take that bet.
What, they don't make the playoffs?
No, I would bet against him. I would say that they do. They do play in the NFC South after all.
True. Yeah, come on. They're making the playoffs. I cannot believe Virginia Tech won the ACC.
I think it's so fantastic that Duke lost.
Yeah. I would have rather them have lost in the semifinal to Miami, but still pretty fantastic. No, the Panthers are not in Brady's division.
Yes, they are.
They are, yeah. Yeah, the Saints, the Bucs, the Panthers, and the Falcons.
Yes, Vodtech. That's true. Vodtech also played their way in. That is true. So 3 teams probably played their way in the last 72 hours.
Adam, yeah, his thunder was pretty much stolen. So how much money will Brady make this year if he plays?
Well,
He's already under contract.
I think it's 25 because I thought he signed a year ago a 2 for $50 deal.
So this would be the last year of his deal.
Uh-huh.
Maybe this will be the one.
And yes, Gronk did say after the season was over that his future was not tied to Brady.
Damn, can you imagine if he actually goes to Buffalo?
Not now. He'll be back.
That's what I'm saying. I think he should.
Mom lives here.
30 seconds.
I think Camille there would much rather, be wearing bikinis than jackets. Yeah. No, Marpet already came out last night. Okay, music, and said I'm not unretiring.
That's today. Brady has not yet worked him over.
I will say he retired and then like the day or two later got engaged.
We're coming back.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. If you've never texted the show, what are you waiting for? Text FSN Radio. It's all one word. FSN Radio to 21,000. You get through the old text security gate there, and you're in. You can text us to your heart's content. Mark, you'd be proud of me.
I'm always proud, David.
Wow. That was so insincere, man. But I think you'd be proud of me. Like a dad or an uncle.
Wait a minute. How proud?
Well, I don't know about that. Okay. I said I think. Because, Mark, for me, I was really savvy while you were gone.
I'm sure. I did not get a phone call, which made me happy.
I mean, young Felipe had to set everything up. He followed your instructions and, he was terrific. But I was able to monitor both the Twitch chat room and the text line at the same time.
Wow.
Which for me,
it's walking and chewing gum right there.
You're darn right it is. Going back and forth between the two. And it took a click of a mouse to do it, but I was able to handle it while you were gone. And for me, I thought I was excelling. Was nominating myself for Employee of the Week.
Well, I mean, there's only 3 of us.
Right.
So, I mean, we should just be alternating the award right now.
We should. But
tech overtime with David.
Did you win Employee of the Week over Felipe from setting all this stuff up?
No way. Absolutely
okay.
not. No.
But did we give it to you just like Barkley one year got the MVP?
Well, he was really good that year with the Suns, though, in '93. And Malone really was good that one year with the Jazz that they gave it to him. But, yeah. No, Felipe won it last week. He was terrific. Kept us on the air and all that sort of thing, after that whole Wednesday debacle. And that was funny, because that's, we hadn't seen one another since the debacle in the middle of the week.
Last time I saw you, I didn't know if we were doing a show ever again, David.
Right. So, but Felipe was terrific. But I just wanted to let you know that I think I kept up with the texters.
Awesome.
Because I know that's your thing.
And it could be if you want it.
No,
you can have it.
Oh no, please, Mark. I mean, for me, I thought I was, performing without a net. I mean, that's how crazy for me that was. But just letting you know, FSN Radio to 21,000. We encourage you to watch us if you never have before. It's twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. It's the Miller and Moulton channel, as you would think. If you're an Amazon Prime customer, you get a free Twitch channel. You may not know that, but Amazon owns Twitch. And many of you are Amazon Prime customers. So you've got us right there. Boom. Boom, as Madden would say. Follow us, subscribe to us. We'd be very happy about that. And then comment in the Twitch chat room. Have you taken a serious look at the bracket yet or no?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was pretty as serious I ever am on a Sunday watching each pod come out and seeing what was what. I didn't get too wrapped up in the seedings in the men's because I don't think it much matters.
I think it could matter, though. I mean, we all say it's about matchups. And so the one thing that became like a common talking point for both the men's and the women's bracketologists and commentators was they kept saying, well, I don't really know what a difference it makes between being a 2 and a 3. It just means the difference between what color jersey you're wearing in the Sweet 16. Yeah, that's not true. That's not true. First off, far more 14s beat 3s and 15s beat 2s, number one. And secondly, a 3-6 matchup versus a 2-7 matchup. I mean, if you're playing a 6 seed, there's a damn good chance you're playing a ranked team in the second round.
I've got you. But at the same time, like just using yours, like some of the things that I looked at, we had a lot of people talking that LSU is going to be an interesting tournament team.
Sure.
Well, they fired their coach,
right?
Finally.
Right.
And how does that, and then all of a sudden they get matched up with Iowa State, who is like the opposite of Oregon State from how bad they were a year ago to end the tournament this year. And when I saw LSU as a 6, I'm like, well, who are they going to pair? Oh, Iowa State. That's to me on paper, looks like a good matchup for LSU, despite the fact that their coach just got fired. So, USC's a 7 seed. They play the Canes.
Mm-hmm.
USC's got NBA talent on that team as a 7 seed.
They do. They do. They struggled at the end of the year. Of course, they played UCLA twice in Arizona in the last 10 days, and that's why they've got 3 losses in the last 5.
And I paid a lot of attention to where Big Ten teams were placed because I have a feeling the Big Ten could get boat raced in this tournament.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But then again, how are the matchups going to plan out?
You know what I thought was an interesting commentary? Because didn't the Big East they got 6, right? Because Xavier ultimately lost early and didn't get a bid.
Right.
So Jeff Goodman did something which was kind of, if you're into college basketball, his employer did him a real solid. He kept going. He would spend like a day with the Big East and then a day with the SEC and then a day with the Big Ten tournament. Just kept flying. And he said, I will tell you, after having watched 4 games in the Big East tournament and then the next day watched 4 games in the Big Ten tournament, he goes, the Big Ten is a lot better. So I thought it was interesting. Because usually when a conference gets a healthy chunk of bids and it's got a good reputation, but he just flat out said, he goes, yeah, I watched a whole day in Madison Square Garden. And he goes, don't get me wrong. The atmosphere with the Big East tournament was so much better. He goes, but the basketball in the Big Ten tournament was so much better. Oh, okay. Good to know. So you're anti-Big Ten.
Going into the tournament, I was. But
at first glance.
But then matchup, going into before it started, I thought the Big Ten would get boat race. Then I'm looking at matchups. Well, they gave some seedings pretty high. That would be upsets. They did get a few 3s, a few 4s. So, but I happened to watch the Davidson-Richmond game. Richmond won. Davidson's a good team.
Yes, they are.
They gave him Sparty. Sparty's not a good team. I could see Davidson because it's all planned so that Izzo can play Krzyzewski in the second round.
Correct.
Davidson could rain on that parade really easily. Loyola Chicago can beat Ohio State.
Sure they can.
Chattanooga's got a big. They're playing Illinois with Coburn. There's some fascinating games just in the first round that I've just starting to. Colorado State plays Michigan. A lot of people don't think Michigan should be in the tournament. with the 17-14 record. But they had a lot of COVID. They had a lot of injuries. They had a lot of things go on this year.
So that's all. I mean, first impressions, don't know how serious everyone is. Do you sit down right away and do your brackets? Do you just take them, put them aside? I'm a take them, put them aside guy. Soak in like bread for 2 days. I soak in all the gravy. And then I sit down. Just me in the bracket, Mark. Just me in the bracket.
Do you go round by round or region by region?
Region by region. It's like how I eat. I eat one thing at a time. Okay, so I do the bracket the same way. Region by region.
I will say they could have had a little bit more fun and put Notre Dame and Indiana against one another in a play-in game.
I know.
They missed a golden opportunity.
They really did.
Because Rutgers, Notre Dame, and Wyoming, Indiana have nothing. It could turn out to be two terrific games. We've seen that before. But if Notre Dame was playing Indiana in a play-in game,
yeah,
that has some oomph.
It does. It definitely does. It looks like Wyoming was technically, we think of it as Richmond last team in, but they go in as an automatic qualifier. So I believe the last at-large went to Wyoming. I believe they were the last of the at-larges to get a bid. And Wyoming got it over Dayton, and then I think A&M was next.
I was a little like North Carolina's an 8. Really? And yeah, they beat Duke at the end of the year. I also saw them get goat rodeoed by so many teams over the course of the year.
Miller and Moulton. 28 minutes before the hour. The starting 5 is next. And for those of you wondering, hey, isn't this supposed to be the baseball hour? There are a few things that happen after you went to bed in Major League Baseball. That's why we have the starting 5, and it's next here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Your toes the hole, that ball didn't get to about here. I mean, I laughed. Becker just started laughing. Guy playing just started laughing, walks up, knocks it back to me. I just got it inside the gimme range. Just get that fuck. That was not passing the hole on for your life.
So you got your half.
Yeah, I got 2 putts to have the guy still had to make a pretty testy 5-footer for his par, but I'm like, there is no way this is going by the hole. I mean, it left my putter. He started laughing at me. He goes, "You dog." I'm like, "Hey, man."
That's right.
Got to figure out how to win these suckers. Another new Steve Young announcing he's coming back.
Yeah. But to realize how old Steve Young is, Steve Young's last year, but he got hurt in that Monday Night Football game with a concussion, and I'm pretty sure it was 99. Brady's not drafted till 2000. So Steve Young's literally his whole career is pre-Brady. Paul, how many people at the game? I think they're 12-4 on the year now. Today, KM, I don't know if she'll come up at all. Uh, 200, 300, 500. I will say it was the day before, kids went back to school today at FGCU. So
How about Ross? Chastain.
what about him? Oh, really?
Finished second.
God, I missed that. I totally missed that. So
they
he's
had
had a third and a second.
Third and a second. He didn't have a. I mean, they had a caution with. I turned it because Jake. I text Jake, and he goes, Elliott sucks. I'm like, oh, and he wrecked. He spun out early. He was Ross is in third, so I turned it on. 6 laps to go, and Briscoe had a better car coming out of the caution. Ross couldn't push him, but Ross beat whoever it was, and that was in second. Got to second and held him off.
Tyler Reddick.
There you go. Briscoe won, right?
Yep.
All 3 of them had never won a race. That's the 200th Cup winner.
Oh, wow.
Briscoe was.
Well, Chastain.
Because when you're going to get NASCAR information on this show, folks.
Go to Mark. Look at that. Nope. I was totally out of NASCAR yesterday.
I don't blame you.
Sorry.
But I'm watching the brackets get pulled up. I can do that without sound and throw the last 5. Perfect.
So Chastain with a third and a second the last 2 weeks.
He got the post-race interview. They interview the winner, and then they interviewed Ross. So
well, and he got interviewed last week, too.
I know.
Gosh, I'm so excited to go back to school today. Can't wait.
What do you got? About 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's Mother's Day in 8 weeks. Because I graduate on Mother's Day.
Well, but when it's like your last final, when's your last regular class?
I think the second.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, 7. Yeah. Okay.
7 weeks.
Once and for all.
That's it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Been going to school for a long time.
Yep.
It's your 17th year of schooling.
Think of it this way. You got it done in 4, too. There's a lot of us that are going for another year.
Congratulations. Well done. Most of us choose the 5-year plan, 4.5-year plan. Good for you.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Mark, you haven't been here in a while. It's at this point of the show in which we do
the starting 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
So I'm pretty sure Thursday and Friday when you were on the range, you weren't listening. And I don't mean at this hour. I just mean in general.
I did not catch any of the show, David.
Imagine that.
I didn't drive a car for 3 days.
Tom Brady's unretired. That's how much you've missed. That's how long you've been gone. 40 days is how long it lasted. Basically, it was a Kardashian relationship.
Hello.
It's about how long that Tom Brady was gone. Man, you got a lot crammed in those 40 days.
Who knew? One-man Ude game can turn someone's mind like that.
So Brady's back. Remember, he signed a 2-year deal a year ago. And he was going to count on the cap whether he played or not. So this doesn't cost the Bucs anything. How about that? It's a pretty good upgrade at quarterback, if you ask me, Mark.
It really is.
Along those lines, Ryan Jensen re-signed with the Bucs. We'll say Tom got his center paid 3 for $39. Just under Jason Kelsey money. It was pretty good. Quickly, while we're at it, the Vikings very quietly took a look around and realized, yeah, we don't really have an answer at quarterback after Kirk Cousins. Kirk, do you think you would be willing to agree to a 1-year extension? So this year and next year at $35 million, you okay with that? And Cousins said, I understand everybody hates me, but okay.
That man has gotten paid.
Tell you what, I would love to be able to, in our poll questions, be able to list Kirk Cousins' business resume, Sam Bradford's business resume.
But
which
Sam
one's been
Bradford,
better?
Well, Sam Bradford got paid for getting signed. He got the last year of the guaranteed money until we changed the
rookie cap.
The rookie cap.
Right. He was the last class.
So he got it just by getting drafted.
Yeah.
Cousins has actually earned it.
Totally. 4th round pick, had to earn the job and keep the job, and
then the double franchise tag.
And now this is technically second contract extension with the Vikings. It's his 3rd contract with the Vikings. So Cousins going to be the quarterback in Minnesota 2022, 2023. He's going to make $35 a year for both. The Cowboys keep Michael Gallup, 5 years, $62.5 million. That's $12.5 million a year for their number 2 wide receiver. Mark, the reason he's going to be their number 2 wide receiver, while you were golfing, the Cowboys agreed to trade Amari Cooper to the Browns. People are wondering why it is Dallas got so little. They're basically getting a 5th-round pick, and the teams are swapping 6th-round picks in this year's draft. You got to remember, the Cowboys get to take Amari's $22 million yearly salary cap hit for the next 3 years off their books, and Cleveland assumes that. And they were going to get rid of him anyway, so they get a 5th-round pick for a guy they were going to cut. Arizona gave 31-year-old tight end Zach Ertz a 3-year deal for a little over $31 million. $10.5 million a year is what he got. I will say, though, Mark, about 1.5 years of it is guaranteed money. So it's a 3-year deal, but it could be a 2-year deal and maybe even a 1 year and eat a little bit of money if he doesn't perform well. And, oh, by the way, the Patriots quietly announced they're going to bring back Devin McCourty for a 13th season. They gave the safety a 1-year, $9 million deal. College hoops. Before we get to the brackets where Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas, and Baylor are your top 4 seeds, yeah, Mike White left the Gators for Georgia. That's right. A Gator went to the Dogs. And most Gator fans are like, good. How long do you think it's going to take for Anthony Grant to finally be named head coach of the Gators? Mike White was in Florida for 7 years. Can you believe Billy Donovan's been gone that long? 7 years. He made the tournament 4 times. Would have been 5 if not for the pandemic, wiping out the 2020 tournament. He won 142 games, so he averaged 20 wins a year. Did make the Elite 8 once. But he finishes in Florida with 3 straight non-20 win seasons. His final team went 19-13. Georgia had to write a check for $1.25 million in order to take Mike White out of Gainesville, when many Gator fans would have helped him
move. Would have paid him to leave.
Right. Your final 4 teams in the tournament were Rutgers, Notre Dame, Indiana, and Wyoming. That'll be the 2 play-in games, Rutgers, Notre Dame, Wyoming, Indiana, Tuesday and Wednesday amongst the big boys. The 16 seeds make up the other play-in games. First team out ended up being Dayton. They got left out when Richmond won the A-10. A surprise to many that Texas A&M, despite making the SEC title game, did not get an at-large. Only Florida team in the field, the Hurricanes. You know, one of these days, Miami against USC is going to be a good football game.
God, wouldn't that be something?
And a big football game, right? Colin Cowherd tweeted out, could this be our national title game in 3 years? Wouldn't that be nice? But the Canes are a 10 seed. The Trojans are a 7 seed. They'll play in Greenville, South Carolina, Friday afternoon.
I didn't think the SEC was going to break away that quickly.
On the women's side, by the way, 6 Florida schools made it, and 4 of them will play each other. Miami against South Florida in an 8-9. Florida against UCF in a 7-10. I think the ladies from UCF are pretty excited to get the Gators. Florida State's in a play-in game. This is the first time the women's tourney's ever had play-in games. If they win it, they'll play Ohio State. And FGCU, despite being nationally ranked in 29-2, got a 12 seed, and they'll face Virginia Tech. But 6 Florida schools in the NCAA women's tournament. Mark, they're only midway through the 3rd round of the Players' Championship.
They'll be teed in about an hour and 15 minutes.
They should finish by late morning, and then they'll reset the threesomes. The plan yesterday, anyway, was to send them off both tees today to make sure they get in. Remember, they do have an extra hour of sunlight, so if by chance play is slow and what have you, they've got till 7:30. Also, if there's a playoff, they should have plenty of sunlight to finish it. Enerban Lahiri is 9 under par through 11 holes of his 3rd round. He has a 1-shot lead over Harold Varner and Tom Hogue. Finish the 3rd round, play the 4th. You know, they're playing for $20 million. So, yeah.
In front of nobody that no one will watch. This did not work out all that well for the players.
The LPGA, one of their stars and 2nd-ranked player in the world, Nelly Korda. She's 23 years old. She announced yesterday she has a blood clot in one of her arms. She apparently was in Ponte Vedra to do something. I don't know if it was a clinic. I don't know if it was a sponsor's appearance or what have you on Friday. And she was losing feeling in one of her arms. And they said, you know, you should go to the emergency room. And so she did. And they checked it out. And they said, good thing you came. So she's receiving treatment for it. She's home in the Sarasota-Bradenton area. No word on how long she'll be out. But obviously, scary situation for the 2nd-ranked LPGA player in the world, 23-year-old Nelly Korda. NBA, KD with 53. See, Kyrie Irving can watch the Nets play. He just can't play for the Nets.
Right. KD addressed that after the game.
He was there the day before also to watch college basketball. He could watch courtside, but he's not allowed to lace them up and play on the court.
Mind you, courtside without a mask on.
Right.
Yet he can't play.
He can't play. Right. It would see. I don't think this is a political statement to say that seems ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
So now listen, I've contended all along by the playoffs. I'm telling you, the policy is going to be changed and Kyrie's going to play. And to be honest with you, this is the NBA regular season. I mean, how much does it really matter? They're just getting in games to cash checks. Brooklyn beat the Knicks by 3. Philly by 2 over Orlando in overtime. Dallas beat Boston by 3. Phoenix beat the Lakers by 29. Memphis over OKC. Clippers beat Detroit. Atlanta over the Pacers. And the Pelicans beat the Rockets by 25. Mark, the Lightning had lost 3 straight. If you had known that last night, how much money would you bet on the Lightning in Vancouver?
Pretty much emptying an account for that one, David.
Yeah. Vasilevsky said it is not going to reach 4. 35 saves for the best goalie in the world, and the Lightning beat Vancouver 2-1. Panthers lost to the Kings in a shootout in L.A. 3-2. Pittsburgh said to Carolina, don't count the division title just yet. 4-2 Penguins. Buffalo 5-2 over Toronto. Toronto lost their goalie a week ago because of injury. They haven't won since, and they've given up 5 goals or more in every game. I don't know. If I was general manager, I'd go get a goalie, but that's me. Nashville over Minnesota 6-2. Winnipeg beat the Blues 4-3 in overtime. Montreal, the same score over Philadelphia. The Islanders, the same score over Anaheim, and Columbus 6-4 over Vegas. NASCAR, Chase Briscoe, his first ever win. He wins in Phoenix. Ross Chastain second, Tyler Reddick third. Man, the young guard was in full display yesterday.
Yeah. about that? All three of them never won a race, and that becomes the 200th different Cup winner.
Wow.
That's a pretty nice little thing for your first ever
That
win
is.
to be the 200th guy to have ever won a race in NASCAR.
Nice little factoid. I'd like to know who number 100 was if I was Chase Briscoe. Just be curious. And there was a significant baseball trade. There's been a lot of signings since, 7 o'clock, whenever it was, Thursday, Friday, whenever they came to a deal. So about midnight last night, Mark, the Twins send Josh Donaldson and two other players, including shortstop Isaiah Kiner Falefa, to the Yankees for Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela. So the Yankees take on salary with Josh Donaldson, but they get a young shortstop. They don't have anybody in their system who can play shortstop. They got a bunch of second and third basemen who they tried Torres, and they're moving this guy and moved this guy, but they need a young shortstop. Well, Cashman went out and got one. It also now sets the stage for, are they going to sign Freddie Freeman? And the Twins, who signed Sonny Gray from the Reds, or got him from the Reds, also make this deal, Sanchez and Urshela. So the Twins shaking things up. And first big baseball trade, really. I mean, the Mets acquired an all-star starter from the A's on Saturday, but this is the bigger deal. And that, as you could tell, was...
That was the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
I will say, if you're into baseball...
It's like NBA free agency right
awesome.
now. I mean, there's
it's
multiple guys
awesome.
getting signed by the hour, it seems, David. So you are right. You mentioned the trade that the Mets made to pick up another starter, 12-5 or something like that last year.
He was an all-star. Got hit on the side of the head with a line drive in August. Actually came back before the end of the year. Probably a number 3 starter. This just in, their number 2, if healthy, are pretty good. Couple guys you may have heard of, DeGrom and Scherzer. So to be the number 3 starter on that team's not bad. But yeah, nice to have some wheeling and dealing. Also, everybody had to report to spring training yesterday. If you're signed to a major league contract and you're on a 40-man roster, you had to be in Florida and Arizona yesterday. So should have baseball games. I think first ones are Friday, I think it's the 18th. There was talk of the 17th, but I think first spring training games are the 18th. So by the end of the week, Mark, of the weekend, we're going to jam in a 2.5 week spring training. How about that? Weather will be awesome. So there you have it.
Hey, at least there's a little something for spring training.
No doubt. No doubt. But think about that starting 5. I know we're not impressed by much anymore, but it was Selection Sunday, and it wasn't the lead.
Well, that's what happens when Tom Brady unretires.
Right. What's he going to do 40 days from now? What is 40 days from now? I think it's the draft. Wonder what it'll do between now and then. Miller and Moulton. Hey, thanks for waking up with us, Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free
14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, Adam, thanks for taking us on vacation with you. .99.3 hasn't been a sports station in this market for a while. After they fired two guys that made it extremely successful, the current people ran it right into the ground. So they pulled it from them and put on, I think they put Spanish on 99.3? David?
Yes.
It's a great question, Brown Chicken. I don't know the answer to that. And crew member, KM, whatever member, dude, I KM Weber, I'm not a bandwagon fan. I'm not a Bucs fan. I'm a Brady fan. There's a huge difference. Can't be bandwagon if you don't like the team. I mean, I'd like the Bucs to be successful because I'd work on a Florida radio station. But you can't call me bandwagon, dude, because I'm not a Bucs fan. I mean, you can call me whatever you want. Thank you. Oh, wow, Seth. That's pretty angry. It's pretty angry. It's a fine avatar, though, Seth. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. By the way, on Friday it was official. Buck to Monday Night.
Yeah. Friday. I mean, is that when
Officially,
I saw it? Yeah.
Fox didn't let him out of his deal till Friday.
So is he? I mean, I kind of read through it. Is he just doing Monday Night Football? Is he going to do some baseball or?
I don't know if he's going to do any baseball. I think he's going to do some ESPN Plus stuff, though. I'll tell you about something.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Thanks so much for being with us. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Oh, it's just a great time of the year to be a sports fan. It's just great. And it's a good thing that the new NFL year starts on Wednesday because, man, there's been no NFL news between the Super Bowl and now.
None at all. None at all. I mean, don't know what's going on with any of the quarterbacks.
I mean, I guess teams have to cut a player or two to get down to the cap. And
Right.
Tom Brady unretired. What the? In our Twitch chat room, I love the resentment towards Brady from some. All right. Others saying this feels like a Brett Favre retirement. That's true. I mean, Favre was like 2 months, I think, from the crying in March, I believe it was, retirement in Green Bay. And then by May, he was like, yeah, I'm not ready to turn this team over to Aaron Rodgers yet. I'll be at minicamp.
Bucs ticket office is going to be very busy this morning.
How many messages have you left?
One email.
All right.
One email. Sent an email last night, said, would
Hey.
like to reconsider. In lieu of recent events, do you still have those club seats left?
Is that how you typed it up, in lieu of recent events, comma? Because if so, I'm sorry. I'd get back to you. If not first, you'd be in my top 5 if I was that particular agent and go, hey, Johnny, here's my best email in lieu of recent events. What do you think this guy's talking about?
You kept it short and sweet because, first off, nobody, and my ticket rep by no means wants to read long emails this morning because there's going to be a lot of them.
Yes, there will.
Get to the point and make it quick and easy. So we shall see. If I don't get them, such is life. But I'm hopeful.
Well, you were able to get him the first time,
Right.
So I think, you're right on it, and you're on top of it.
We shall see.
That agent, if they had a sense of humor, should get back to you and say something to the effect of, I was expecting your call.
Well, and what's going to be interesting, if it rings before 10 and I look at you and go, we need to go to break now.
Right. If I have to do a segment by myself, because you're like, David, if I don't take this call.
I'm sorry, but you're live on the air. I will do this all right now, except for my credit card number.
I'll make background noise as you give out those digits. FSN Radio, if you've never texted the show before, it's all one word, FSN Radio. Send it to 21,000, and then you're in, and you can text to your heart's content. We encourage you to watch, listen, follow, subscribe to Miller and Moulton. It's twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. We have our own channel. And a lot of people do, so, it's not that special, but you get to see us, and you get to chime in during the breaks and during the show, and we comment accordingly. So there. And Felipe jumps in during a couple of the commercial breaks, because if an hour goes by and Felipe's not seen or heard, well,
it bothers Felipe a lot.
Something is, and last week you created a little bit of a monster. You left me alone with him, so that's a lot of time on and off air. Felipe was like, "Don't worry, I got it covered." He was good on Thursday.
Yeah, but David carried.
Okay,
Carries me. What the hell? What difference would that be?
It's so funny that he used those words, okay? Because we were doing like a Twitch during the break thing, and he said something along those lines, and I looked right at him, and I go, only one of us is named on the show, okay? One of us really should talk more than the other, just so you know.
I doubt he felt that way coming in on Thursday. Philly, let me ask you, did you feel like Thursday morning you were coming in for a tryout?
Okay, no, not particularly. I knew that it was going to go. Obviously, a large portion of the show would be David, but I thought I would just be able to talk more since you would be gone.
Were you able to?
Yes, but not
as much as you wanted?
Not as much as I anticipated. Not necessarily as much as I wanted.
So your plan coming in was for Felipe and Moulton.
I'm not going to say that. I plead the fifth.
Uh-huh.
I'm muting my microphone.
That's
The Bucs still have a ton of work to do. I mean, as it looks right now, Brady is not coming back to the same team.
no.
I mean, they're still over the cap as of this morning, and they have got 8 to 10 quality players that are free agents. So I don't know how they're going to do it, to be honest with you. I mean, both of their top 2 running backs, they've got a couple of defensive linemen, Carlton Davis. They did re-sign their center, Ryan Jensen, last night. That's good. But Gronk's a free agent. Don't know what he's going to do. He doesn't have to make a decision soon. So there's a lot to go on here with Tampa Bay. A lot to go on. And usually if you don't have your house in order right away, you lose your top players because there are teams out there poised and ready to go. And while you're still moving money around and figuring things out, your top guys get signed. Now, will they maybe hesitate and try for as long as possible to stay because you know who is back? I will say timing's everything. If he had waited one more week, I think it would have been disastrous.
Well, he couldn't have. I mean, I know he was over in Man U, had the family over watching
Ronaldo.
And it hosted by the Glazers. I don't know if there was a press put on there. I don't know when this started, but I would have to think that at some point this weekend's things was more than just a soccer match, if you know what I mean. And you are right. The timing's everything. Now, the question becomes, how many of the guys that were there last year weren't there 2 years ago? Because if they got the ring, David, they might want to get paid anyhow. Tom Brady's only going to give them so much from a standpoint of loyalty from teammates because a lot of these guys got their ring. And when you get the ring, you want to get paid. So, yeah, there's a little bit of a Brady discount, maybe. But if it were guys that hadn't won, it would be, I think, a little more easy to keep players. I just think there'll be certain guys who'll say, I'm done. I want to get paid.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You get your ring and now you get paid. And that's usually how it works. They brought the band back together. They made a run at it. And now they could say, hey, enjoyed my time, that whole deal. But now it's time to take care of me.
And Ndamukong Suh doesn't take discounts.
No, although I will say at this stage of his career, he's very much year to year. If it's close, you're going to be good in Tampa. I mean, think about what one of the other teams in the division would have to do, Mark. Imagine if you're a veteran Buck who's entering free agency and you're taking it year to year. Yeah, of course you want as much money as possible, but if the money is close, I mean, how many teams are more prohibitive favorites in their division right now than the Bucs are in the NFC South? And think about what would have to take place for that dynamic to change.
Well, the one thing that may be happening sooner than later is that Deshaun Watson's going to be in that division. I mean, The two biggest teams that are rumored to be courting him are the Saints and the Panthers that are out actively doing it. There could be other suitors that we don't know about.
Well, did you hear the rather loud whispers over the weekend as to who is a serious suitor for Deshaun Watson? Cleveland. Now, that's interesting.
Boy, that's moving right on.
But he's still on the payroll. So would he be in the trade? Are they interested in him, or would Cleveland have to spin him off somewhere else? And by him, we mean Baker Mayfield. He is entering the final year of his contract, the option 5th year of his rookie deal. 25 or thereabouts is what he's making. That's interesting. Deshaun, if you missed it, was not indicted on Friday. Deshaun Watson, not indicted. No charges filed by the grand jury in Houston. So it will only be civil suits from here on in for Deshaun Watson with the 22 women in question.
Now, what the league decides to do is a separate entire case, if you will. And one would think that they will do something. They haven't yet, but the league's going to come up with some sort of a suspension.
One would think, yeah. And if you're acquiring him, I think you need to plan accordingly. I would plan on 8 games, subject to appeal. But remember, you're acquiring a 26 to 27-year-old franchise quarterback who's under contract for 4 more years at an average salary of $39 per, which I know sounds like a lot of money. It is a little less than what Dak Prescott's making. 4 years, 22, 3, 4, and 5. By the end of that deal, I don't want to say it'll look like a bargain, but it'll look reasonable. Very.
Miller and Moulton. You want to text the show? Text the keyword FSN radio to 21,000. FSN radio to 21,000. Couple people texting in. This one says not only he, but his wife thought Brady would be back. And then someone asked, did he unretire to get traded to San Francisco so the Bucs have more ammo for Watson?
No.
No.
If for ticket and suite sales alone, the answer would be no. And also, I think, to bring back as many of the band as possible. Miller and Moulton, 13 minutes past the hour. Thanks for listening to Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, Razor Ramon? Another one bites the dust, huh?
Poll question. Seth was on Thursday of last week, and we didn't talk about it because we didn't want to spoil it, because I believe he was making it part of his podcast. Yeah, he suffered like 3 heart attacks or something, and what are you thinking for a poll question?
I don't know. I don't know how you. I mean, I'd like to do something Brady, but I don't know what they're. I don't even know how you know.
I heard it's long, Paul. I heard it's 3 hours. I've seen reviews all over the place.
I've watched the first 2 episodes of the Winning Time, the Jeff Pearlman book they turned into the miniseries.
Oh, okay.
John C. Reilly as Dr. Buss is out of this world, and boy, oh boy, do they paint a bad picture of one Jerry West.
Oh, Mark, did episode 2 come out last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry West is like a hothead.
I mean,
I bet you he hates that.
they go out of their way to bury Jerry West.
Interesting.
As a horrible human being.
Interesting.
That nobody likes.
Interesting.
Do we want to
Roger,
better?
Oh, whoops. Raj just walks in here and goes, "Are you upset that you didn't go to Tom Brady's last game anymore?" I'm like, screw you. God, man.
Like,
what do you want to do with Brady?
Brackets, Brady, biggest news of the weekend. Brackets, Brady, blowing just at golf. I'm a little alliteration there. I don't know. I don't know what you can do with Brady. That's my problem.
5 seconds.
Right. Something about.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"19 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for any of your vehicles, no matter what they may be. Lawnmower, for goodness sakes. If you do it yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. You can do so in the store or online, NapaOnline.com. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters, proud sponsor of Miller and Moulton.
Not that you need one, because your lawn's not that big, but if you had a riding lawnmower, I could see you on a riding lawnmower cutting grass.
Oh, I'd love it. I mean, I'd have to have a much bigger lawn than what I have now. But
I'm not. Yeah.
Oh no, are you kidding me? I love to drive.
Right.
I love leisurely drives.
Put
which
some
for
headsets
me
on,
is
listen to a ball game.
Totally, absolutely. Get some sun. I'm not a take the shirt off guy though. Never have been. Never have been. Even when I was a kid, teenager and what have you. I was not a take my shirt off guy. Don't know why. Some people are, and they get the full body. I always had the caddy tan. Always.
Yeah, I don't care. You want the belly can hang.
I've just always tried to protect it.
You don't want to look? Don't look. You afraid of the eclipse? Stay out of the way.
I have felt I have felt the need to just protect others from,
I understand, and I probably should have many times, but don't know what to tell you.
Like the other day, the dog out of nowhere was like, "Hey, I need to go out," and I was just didn't. really have a shirt on. And so, quickly threw on the sandals and grabbed the dog and went out, and I'm standing out on the yard. And sometimes, as you know, dogs give the impression that this is going to take 38 seconds, and they decide to take about 8 minutes. And so we were in the middle of, Stairway to Heaven there on the front yard. And, and I was standing out there without a shirt on, and I felt, I was kind of negotiating with the dog going, listen, if I drop the leash, can I run in and get a shirt and come back? Or
are you going to take off on
am I going to live to regret this? And of course, take off for you means making it to like the curb. I'm going to have to chase you down about 12 feet. So, I want to do a Brady poll question.
But what's the poll question?
I know. Like, is there anybody who has angst because Tom Brady is unretired? Is there anyone mad at him?
In our Twitch chat room, Seth Everett came into our Twitch chat room to say F Tom Brady.
Yeah, well, but that's a Seth thing.
But there are people that I think agree with that. There are people that hate the whole unretirement.
Right.
Like that for whatever reasons
right.
bothers people.
Okay. The best man I've ever known is my mother's father. All right. My grandfather's the best man I've ever known. He unretired. He shocked all of us at age 66. My grandfather loved what he did for a living. He was a mechanic, and he usually worked on trucks. He was this little guy who would literally climb into the engine on these Big Mac trucks. I would say, where's grandfather? And they go, well, he's in the engine over there. And you literally couldn't see him. The feet were not dangling. I mean, he was just in the engine. So all of a sudden he calls me up. I'm in college, and he goes, I'm going to retire. And I thought it was a joke. I mean, before there was Ashton Kutcher, and he got punked. I thought my grandfather was punking me. And he goes, nah, my back, and I want to play golf. And I'm like, you love to work. And he stayed retired for about 6 months. And then they started calling him, hey, we got a truck. You're the only one who can fix it. All right. He turned to grandmother. You mind if I go down? They need a favor. Yeah, okay. One day became twice a week, became 3 days a week. Next thing you know, he's back 5 days a week, getting up at 6 a.m., at work at 7 o'clock. The hands are dirty again, the whole deal. Got more money out of the deal, but he's back working. Suddenly, the back felt fine.
I would never unretire.
Oh, I have no doubt that the words that you speak are 100% true.
The moment that I can afford retirement, I'm retiring.
All right. I'm going to say something, and I don't want you to take offense to it. I think there's a chance you retire even if the dollars don't add up. You may go, you know what? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm done.
But then there's the other side of me that because of what we do, I know we could, if allowed, we can do this forever.
I know. It's sitting on your butt and talking.
Right.
It's a hell of a gig.
It is.
I mean, you get treated badly and the money sucks. But
outside of that,
the gig is great.
The 4 hours are tremendous. David and I have said that forever. The other 20 around it sometimes can be a bit taxing.
Whatever.
But the 4 are terrific.
Right. So think about it. I mean, you're 52. You could be however old. And now with technology and what have you, you could be sitting wherever you're sitting. And you explain to your wife, honey, I got to do the show.
Well, first off, there's not a doubt in my mind that my wife will let me work as long as possible, especially if it means she can retire sooner. And that's the only thing that's changed about me is that I know how much harder my wife's job is than mine. So me working, allowing her not to work is actually something I would have never thought of prior to being with her because I'm pretty selfish. I'm an only child. I am selfish. I admit that. And now I'm actually like, you know what? I'd probably stick around longer if I could get my wife to work less. So it's not as bad as it once was, David, where I would run because single,
right.
I'd run to the hills as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. But people seem annoyed that Tom Brady, it's not like he retired during the season and 6 weeks later during the season had a change of heart. I mean, he retired in February. He unretired in mid-March. What's the harm?
And the day after he retired said, well, never's a long time, basically. Never say never. I mean, he already started unretiring the next day.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear what happened here. All right. The wife has been very vocal about wanting him to retire. He acquiesce to the wishes of his family.
His wife leaked the information to 2 reporters.
And then after, vacationing and playing some rounds of golf and this, that, and the other thing, one of the 2 of them came to the conclusion, this retirement thing's not going to work out. I mean, we love each other, but only so much. You need to go back to work.
You've become annoying already.
Get out of here. We thought we wanted you full time. We're not ready for you yet. Or you thought you wanted us full time and you realized you're not ready for us yet.
And of all the things to me to get annoyed with another athlete about, this has to be on the bottom of all lists. A guy wants to play more football. Oh, okay.
But so we're trying to come up with a Brady poll question. We're just trying to see, is there another side to this? Are people actually angry with him? Disappointed in him? There's no doubt he sets himself up to be compared to all the others who have unretired, etc. He is human, despite having his own production company and wanting to paint a certain picture and all that. Now, see, Mark, you know me pretty well. And yes, I'm getting older. And yes, I am getting more tired of more things. And I am, for the first time in my life, choosing not to work as much as I always have. And I'm a workaholic. I have gone at this hard for over 35 years. And this is the first time that I'm walking away from things, or if things disappear, not replacing them. But you could know, I'm going to have a hard time retiring.
Oh, I don't think you ever will. And I don't think that you ever will. When I see Vern going to do his 417th Masters.
Right.
That's you.
Now, I got to admit, it's 1 week a year, though, for Vern.
But if it got to, hey, the radio show was just a bit too much, but Troy says, David, I still want you on Mondays.
Yeah. Okay. I can do that. Sure. 20 games or whatever it is.
Obviously Gary's older than you. So at some point, Gary will be done before you're done. If you were to, if somehow you land a Saturday gig, you will do that until the end of time.
Right. Yes. The Gary thing will be Gary going, listen, it's time, and me clutching his ankles going, no, say it ain't so. Right.
Kicking and screaming.
So maybe deep down, maybe that's why I'm not, if there's those of you that are coming down hard on Tom Brady, I could see why I wouldn't come down too hard on someone who unretires, because I know how hard it's going to be for me to retire. We've always had the playful conversation of if we were to win the lottery, and you have said I'd be gone. You'd be lucky if you'd get a text from me. And I would be like, oh, no, I'd come into work and then, hell, I might even buy a station and have some fun with it, what have you. And you looked at me like, yeah, don't call me. I'm not doing the show. Don't know what to tell you.
If it was a really big number, I'd buy you a station.
That would be your gift?
Yep.
That's funny. It's funny. My wife would be like, couldn't you have just written us a check? He doesn't need another toy.
Precisely why you're getting the station. Because if I give the check, David wouldn't see any of it.
My wife already feels as if I've cheated on her with A, sports, and B, food. She already feels third sometimes as it is. You're like, wait, you bought him a station?
She's got a grandkid now, David.
Oh, that's true. Right? She's going to see her today. Yeah, she is on a Monday. On a Monday. She's going to see her on a Monday, for goodness sakes. I am so unnecessary now.
You got the weekend with her.
I did. Most of it.
And you only worked one day.
Right.
Summing up Miller and Moulton in a nutshell. There it is, folks.
Hey, let's head north, shall we? Because we had a Florida Gator coach who left for Georgia. No, I'm not making that up. Nope. Gator basketball coach who got up in the middle of a Sunday before they even found out that they weren't making the tournament. Got up and left and went to Georgia. I got Georgia on my mind, Mike White said. Graham Hall covers the Gators for the Gainesville Sun. He will join us next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, the Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'd work for a year after I won the lottery because it'd take that long to tell off all the people I have to. Nice. So you'd be one of those, huh? Maybe come back as the boss. Just start getting rid of all those you want to get rid of. Hey, I'm going to sell this station, but not until I.
God, that was fast. Oh, it's set up to, you got to hit the airdrop button, apparently, David.
Hell, if you won the lottery.
Leonard Fournette had an Instagram post that said "Goodbye Tampa" a few days ago. That's been deleted.
It's because Tom got on the phone and said, "You're not going anywhere, Lenny."
One of the morning guys on DAA just tweeted that out.
How great is this? You do sports in Tampa. Which I know technically we do, but you know what I mean. Are you sad, Felipe?
Just disappointed.
Sure. I mean, just, feel grateful that you're not the guy with the $500,000 football. That's all. You're just with what, a $35 t-shirt or whatever it was?
Yeah. You want to know something, though? I'm sure when he bought the ball, he's like, $500K, man, I'm going to flip this in 20 years for $2 million or something like that. Man, that did not age poorly.
If I was Brady, I'd buy it back. And I know it wasn't Brady's doing directly, but if I was Brady, I mean, come on, I'm swimming in money.
Buy it back in Bitcoin.
But I'd buy it back, and then I'd probably, get Gronk to sign it, and I'd sign it and donate it to a charity somewhere.
Yeah. By the way, someone just $230 million total in Kirk Cousins money that he's made in his career.
Yeah.
Including this year and next year.
Yeah, 230. That's pretty good for a 4th round pick. Yeah, it was a hell of a week for former FGCU coach. Fly
Billy,
gets
turn your mic off.
Fly gets fired last Saturday. Andy gets an extension on like Monday or Tuesday, and Dooley gets fired on, I think, Thursday.
I usually mute my microphone during phone calls, so that's my bad. Graham's on hold. We're back in 30.
I did not hear about the spiders, unless it's Richmond.
Ten seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks for waking up with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Roy Cummings at the top of the hour. Talk about Tom Brady coming back. About an hour from now, we'll check in with Shelby Mast. What did the NCAA selection committee get right? What did they get wrong? And his first thoughts on the bracket. But first, Graham Hall, kind enough to join us once again. He covers the Gators for the Gainesville Sun. You can follow Graham on Twitter at Graham Hall _. That's Graham Hall _. Graham, it's David and Mark. How you been? Thanks for your time. Graham, are you there? All righty then.
This seems to be I don't know what happens here on the weekends, but it seems that the place becomes discombobulated.
Or one button is pressed. One thing is changed. And therefore, we're unable to do our show. One day, Mark. One day.
Want to give out those text numbers about now?
See, this is where a phone number would come in handy.
That's just fine. Text FSN Radio to 21,000.
You know what?
FSN Radio to 21,000.
I would like to encourage people to just call 844-FLORIDA and see what you get. Okay. Call 844-FLORIDA. We'll take your calls now. I'd be curious to see where it is the call ends up.
Not on the air.
No, although it'd be funny, actually, if it came into the control room.
That would be something.
Hopefully we'll catch up with Graham Hall, the Gainesville Sun, coming up momentarily. As to why we're going to Gainesville, in case you missed it, Mike White, now former Gator basketball coach. No, they didn't fire him.
At least they didn't get the chance to.
No.
Works out better for them. Instead of having to pay a buyout, they got paid for him to leave.
They got $1.25 in order for him to go to Georgia. We'll try it again with Graham Hall, the Gainesville Sun. Graham, are you there?
I'm there. Thanks for having me. A little technical issue this morning. No, we're all figuring it out. This is quite an interesting situation. There were so many, a vocal contingent of Florida fans that wanted to see Mike White fired. I mean, just get that. I know the results were not as satisfactory, desirable as many Florida fans wanted. It's tough being the guy who replaces the guy in Billy Donovan. But never go 500 in the SEC. You lose multiple players to injury. You miss the NCAA tournament this year for the first time since 2015, 2016. There are a lot of programs that would kill for that consistency. And Florida fans, there were a lot of them that were just fed up with Mike White. And to hire a Power 5 coach who's coming off of missing the tournament as a fellow SEC program, guys, I'm struggling to think of the last time that happened. And anyone demanding Mike White be fired, I think, has to admit that they were completely wrong. The best case scenario was for Mike White to stay within contention, do well enough that another program would hire him away and pay you to take him. I mean, you look at this is nearly a $10 million swing here, in a sense. Florida thought that they were going to pay Mike White nearly $8 million possibly to get away from him and start afresh to, appease these fans who have voted with their wallet here. Instead, Georgia pays you $1.25 million to be able to pay him. Absolutely changes what Florida can do here in the offseason in terms of the coaching carousel if they had to pay Mike White that $8 million buyout. I think a lot of people think that, basketball buyouts got to be the same as exact football. A lot of these programs only make $2 to $3 million a year in profit. So you pay a $8-9 million buyout, you're talking right there 3 seasons worth of profit. You really have to make sure that you're doing the right decision. And Mike White, I think there were people in Florida that wondered whether this was the right decision to move on from someone who regularly got 18, 19, 20 wins at the very least. Move on from him and pay him to do that? No. Why do that? We wait for a Georgia or an Ole Miss or a Butler to call and save us a whole bunch of money. And that's exactly what happened to Florida yesterday.
I'm stunned by it, Graham, to be frank. I mean, like Georgia's basketball program's awful. I guess if they go to the tournament, 4 out of 7 years, that would be a big coup for the Dogs. But to pay the other side of this is that Georgia just writing a check to Florida. The bizarro land in that seems crazy to me. I know it's an improvement for Georgia. How much of an improvement can it be for Florida? How high can they set their sights now, Graham?
Well, that's the interesting thing. There are so many people, and I don't get this, that just believe that you're going to absolutely find an upgrade over Mike White. You can look to Georgia for how often that can turn out. The Bulldogs thought that they were absolutely upgrading from Mark Fox to Tom Crean. People thought that Tom Crean was going to take over the SEC. And look now, 6-win season, driven out of Athens, just never was able to adapt to the game, the transfer portal. The grass isn't all greener is what I'm saying. Mike White, for everything that he, I guess you could say, his shortcomings, something not say did wrong, his shortcomings, absolutely, it could 100% be worse. It's like if you break up with an 8.5, you better have a 9 lined up because you absolutely could have a drop-off. And what I just said, the 4 straight years of NCAA tournament appearances, isn't that the goal for a lot of programs, just to make the tournament? Because then it's all hats off the table. You really can see what happens there. Florida getting to the tournament consistently, the only SEC team to do it 4 years in a row. Even Kentucky, 9-win season last year before they bounced back. It's incredibly tough to keep making the tournament. Can Florida upgrade? Absolutely. Look at the names out there. Nate Oates, Matt McMahon. I know people talk about Ed Cooley. Anthony Grant is a name that will always be kicked around here whenever there's an opening at head coach, just because of how highly respected he is, the ties to Billy Donovan's staff. And then there's people showing you how much they value winning. Rick Pitino, Bruce Pearl, those types are floated by Florida fans as someone they would want. And that really kind of sends the message, I think, to everyone. For Mike White's issues, he always kind of carried himself with class, wasn't caught cursing on camera, kept Florida out of all the FBI, Adidas, you name them, probes over the last 7 years. Were the recruiting successes desirable as many people hoped? No, absolutely not. But he ran a clean program, and I think there is some people that value that extremely highly. Being able to do that at a high rate, it's going to be tough to find someone who is going to be able to compete in the SEC and do it 100% in a clean way. As we have seen recently here, those are few and far between here. You either value winning or you value running a clean program with integrity, and Florida's going to be hard-pressed to find someone who's able to do both. And that's why I think there's a lot of people here in Gainesville today who are disappointed at the departure of Mike White because of how highly respected he was internally inside the UF athletic program. And this is someone that had been here 7 years and was already highly revered, like Jenny Rowland, Mike Holloway, you name it. This is someone who was highly respected internally. So in terms of them finding a better coach, I think it's very possible. But a better person, there's a lot of people here today that are really wondering who out there is going to be able to fill the shoes that Mike White left here in Gainesville.
He's Graham Hall. He covers the Gators for the Gainesville Sun. You can follow Graham on Twitter, Graham Hall _, Graham Hall _. He had just received an extension within the last year. But as you said when you first came on, there were some important, wealthy, powerful voices who wanted him gone. If he had stayed, do you think he would have survived and just entered next year on the proverbial hot seat? Or do you think there was a real chance? Because as you know, Graham, Dan Mullen was staying too, and 2 weeks later was gone. You know, when certain people change their mind, people get fired.
It's absolutely true. I think that the coaching carousel is a little bit slower in college basketball. Thank God for that. Honestly, I mean, you bring up Dan Mullen's fall from grace there, really a 2-month thing. You know, you talk to fans in September, they thought that they had one of the top 10 coaches in college football. And then you go on that downturn at the end of the season, and all of a sudden he's at the unemployment line. So I think that you absolutely could have made the case that if Mike White comes back, you're in the same situation that you're in right now. A lot of people were calling for him to lose his job last year. And if you remember the Keontae Johnson scenario, Florida still makes the tournament behind Trey Mann and Colin Kaepernick, despite the absence of Keontae Johnson. A lot of people gave Mike White, in their opinion, a free pass for that year. And even into this year, coming in, I reminded people all the time that Florida was not a full-strength Florida team. Keontae Johnson remained on scholarship, but was not cleared the entire year, meaning Florida spent the entire year with 12 scholarship players while everyone else had 13. And then you factor in Colin Kaepernick's 6-game absence. This is a team that still managed to win 19 games and tie for 5th in the SEC with their 2 best players missing a grand total of, combined 37 games. I think there are a lot of people that still were impressed internally with what Mike White was able to do, getting within NCAA tournament contention despite the injuries that they had. Next year, that excuse doesn't really, fly. Colin Kaepernick expected to head to the pros. I don't think it's the NBA, but he could easily play internationally with his skill set. Keontae Johnson, I think many people know that he's going to pursue a professional contract and attempt to make the comeback. That means that Mike White would have to bank on the freshmen, Malik Reinu, Reed, Denzel. I mean, it would have been really tough for him to improve upon this year, in my mind, given the expectations, given everything they had to deal with. So there is the argument to make that they were delaying the inevitable by this move not happening now. I also think you need to consider, and I don't want to blame the fans here, but it was a very untenable future forward for the White family. A lot of them had stopped coming to games. You know, when you're down by 17, you don't boo your home team for doing poorly. You try and cheer them on to improve. And every time Florida had miscues, misaligned goals, messed up on the basketball court, fans would vocally boo the team and Mike White. And that situation forward, it's kind of hard to change the mindsets of people like that. If they're that quick to flip on you when you're facing a 17-point deficit in a sport like basketball where there's massive swings, that was kind of the sign to me that they were not going to change their perspectives and give him a little more benefit of the doubt and grace and leeway to work and improve. But, at Georgia, I think that Mike White is going to surprise some people. There were a ton of injuries at Florida, especially in the front court, and him to never be below 500 in the SEC, I think that's a very telling stat. If you look right now in top 20 all-time SEC win percentage, Mike White is sitting there at 18th. And I think there's a lot of people that would surprise them. If you win 9 games regularly in the SEC at Georgia, you're doing a heck of a good job. But at Florida, that's considered to be unsatisfactory. And I think all of us would take equivalent money with the same goals to be just treated better under the context of, hey, you won 19 games in the SEC. That's pretty dang good, rather than, okay, get out of town, you're not Billy Donovan. And that's what Mike White was experiencing here in Gainesville.
Wow, Graham. To me, I think the expectation should be higher for the Gator basketball program. This is not 20 years ago. The basketball talent in this state, some of the best in the country. There's no reason why the Florida Gators shouldn't be in the tournament every year, in my opinion. And that should be the sights they set. I disagree with you on the, I don't like seeing college kids get booed, but at the same time, down 17 is down 17. When you're not making the tournament, expectations have, when you're considered the best athletic department, or the second best athletic department in the SEC, then I think your expectations should be higher. How tough is it going to be for his successor? Because the expectations will be there from the word go, won't they, Graham?
I think they're going to be a little bit lower now that he's no longer the guy following the guy. I think that, yeah, there have been expectations since Florida made the Final Four in 1994. I'm not arguing that whatsoever. I just think that they have to be lowered a little bit given the realistic scenario going on in college basketball. Mike White, if you look at the SEC head coaches, was not in the top half of most accomplished. Look at Frank Martin, Rick Barnes, all of these coaches you could make an argument for that they're better than Mike White. And then you factor in Bruce Pearl, John Cal. I could keep going. Ben Howland went to NCAA championship at UCLA. The fact is, Florida has top 5 SEC expectations, if not higher, without having a top 5 head coach. That's been the case for 6 years now. The expectations didn't change. I think that the recruiting absolutely could have been better at Florida. You look at the amount of classes that he signed. Mike White's best class is the one that had Andrew Nemhard and Noah, and then they miss out on Nasir Little and get Keontae Johnson. That was their best class. And then the ones they have coming in here, they got 2 5-stars in Malik, and then you look at Reed, a 6'10" guy who's able to dribble. I don't want to make Jabari Smith comparisons now, but you look at who they landed. Yeah, I think that absolutely there's going to be sky-high expectations of Florida, but they're going to be a little bit lower for whoever comes in next. Knowing that you had a coach that, quote-unquote, failed in a sense, there's going to be a reset. There's going to be a little more of a grace period. I know that Mike White missed the tournament in his first year, but after that, the expectations absolutely ramp up. Florida makes the Elite Eight. I'm with you that there are some programs that their expectations are going to be every single year that you have to make the tournament. I just don't know how realistic those are. Is that the same expectation at Kentucky? Absolutely. But yet they missed the tournament last year and didn't even win double-digit games. But John Cal has what Mike White had in the early 2010s. He has the benefit of the doubt that he will get back there. Even when the losing seasons happen after a championship, fans are just easier on you. Let's call it that, because they know that, yeah, you had a tough season, but you're capable of getting back to a championship, so they can breathe easier. Mike White never made anyone feel as if he was capable of getting Florida back to the Elite Eight after that run in 2016, 2017. And I think that's a big part of the problem. They really realized that the ceiling was not as high as it was for guys like John Cal and Bruce Pearl. And that, in my mind, is when you kind of have to eventually do the inevitable and move on. Even if you have sustained success for 5 years, you have to move on. And that's what Florida is going to have to deal with. Yeah, there's going to be a down initially, but they have to have a guy who's going to have a high ceiling.
Okay. Graham, I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, now we're up against it. Thank you for your time and your insight. I think it'll be a matter of days until Anthony Grant is named head coach. We will call you at that point in time. Graham Hall of the Gainesville Sun joining us here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com
to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Like nothing I've ever played in before, Paul. Never played in conditions quite like that before. I mean, it was ripping healthy palm fronds off of palm trees. How's South Dakota State? Can they win that game?
On the men's side?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I looked at all 4 13s. That's the one I liked the most. 29-2, and they're a 12 seed.
it's Graham. I said, hey, we're up against a hard break. Sorry about that. Because that's random. With the new iPhone, they got new chargers, and I don't know if you have the issue like the new chargers that they have won't work in my car.
Roy's on hold or coming back.
Charger, the piece that you put.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It's the final hour of Miller and Moulton. If you're in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, or Port Charlotte and Venice, for those of you in the 239, we are halfway home on this Monday, and what a Monday it is. What a time of the year it is in the sports world. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us. Mark, got to be honest, didn't think we'd be calling Roy Cummings this soon after the last time we chatted. I got to be honest. I figured would have waited end of this week, maybe after the new year started, next week to see who they, signed, who they lost. Roy, anything happen over the weekend?
Well, the golf tournament up in Jacksonville took about 8 days to get completed. So we had that. And then there was March Madness starting up. So, a lot of few things here and there, kind of a quiet, overall, though, kind of a quiet sports weekend.
Right. And then Tom Brady unretired. Just when you thought you could have a nice Sunday night, relax with the family, you got to go back to work. I don't get shocked anymore. And I know he said never say never and all of those things, but man, 40 days later, Tom Brady's back. What did you make of it?
What I make of it is that he was never, obviously, he was never all in on leaving the game at this time. And you sense that even when he did, in essence, retired, just the kind of the way it came about, as if it kind of slipped out somewhere, maybe prematurely, certainly ahead of the moment that he was ready to announce it. I great of a conviction, in his comments when he said he was walking away. There really wasn't a big press conference saying, "Hey, that I've walked away. This is it." And you just kind of got a feeling. Hey, look, it was a week later that things started coming out saying, "Hey, he might still stick around." And also just the way the Bucs were kind of acting in the off season in regards to a quarterback, it sort of gave you the feeling that they know something nobody else does. And I don't know how much they knew, but I think they were probably clued into he's leaning towards coming back, because a lot of moves have taken place at the quarterback position here over the last, week or so, and they weren't involved in any of them, none of them. And if you feel as if your roster beyond the quarterback position is a playoff roster, and I think they do, possibly even a Super Bowl roster, well, you've got to go get that quarterback. You can't put Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Lavonte David and Devin White. You can't put these guys on a team with Kyle Trask or Blaine Gabbert and expect to get the most out of it. You just can't. And so I sort of get the feeling they had an idea that this was in the works here. And even again, just the way it kind of happened. I mean, he's out in England watching Cristiano Ronaldo, watching Manchester United, obviously, talking with the Glazers. There must have been something there. And you know what? We may soon find out that there is some kind of, position for him with the Buccaneers when it's all over, possibly in ownership, possibly in management. We'll see, but this may be part of that as well. That might have been part of what was being talked about in London yesterday and over the weekend.
Well, it was interesting. If you saw the video, Ronaldo looks at him and goes, "Are you really finished?" And you can't really catch Brady's answer, but you could tell he didn't say, "Yeah, I'm done." All right, that you could tell. I don't know what he said, but you could tell he didn't say, "Yeah, I'm done." Roy Cummings, kind enough to join us once again. Roy, you say, "Hey, this is still a really good team now that Brady's back." We do have to acknowledge, though, 48 hours out from the new NFL year beginning, they're in a much more precarious spot than they were a year ago at this time, 48 hours before potentially losing their players. I mean, it seems as if they've got more players they can lose, and they have a lot less cap room in which to navigate.
Yeah, you're right. Well, hey, the good news is that Brady's $25 million is no longer dead cap money. It's actual cap money. It's
right.
Money you're putting towards a body and the most important one of all. But look, the fact that he comes back, I think helps you in a number of ways. First of all, you can redo his contract. and make that work for you, which I'm sure he'd be willing to do. Again, that probably had a lot to do with what was going on perhaps in England yesterday. Discussions about, how do we make this work so that we can bring back a competitive football team. But now, you've already had discussions about Mike Evans possibly redoing his contract. I think you're going to see some contract restructures here. That's part of the business of the NFL. And if you're a player on an NFL team and you're making, 15 million plus, you're probably going to end up reworking your deal in situations like this. So I think you're going to see plenty of that. But now the incentive for certain guys to come back, like Leonard Fournette, Carlton Davis, Ryan Jensen, it's there. And now it's really just up to the cap guys, the capologists, to make sure that they can find a way to fit all the pieces together back in the puzzle again. And I think it's doable. Yes, they are up against the cap. This is what championship teams do. This is kind of how the league is structured, so that when you get really good and you've got a bunch, you got a bunch of high paid players, you kind of move them aside, or do something so that other teams have a chance. And so we'll see what happens. But my guess is they'll still be able to keep most of their guys that they want. They'll restructure the others. Again, it turns the draft into a completely different animal. It's just, once again, you're not concerned necessarily about, picking somebody that has to fit into your starting lineup right away. You can think for the future there, and that helps you as well.
And for those that missed it, overnight, Ryan Jensen officially back 3 years, $39 million, 13 per, which is only $1 million less than what Kelsey got to come back to the Eagles.
But Roy Marpet said he is going to stay retired. How much do you think Brady will try to put the full court press on him to come back? It serves a couple of purposes. Obviously, it would release some dead money and make things a lot easier for the Bucs. But do you think there's a chance that they get Marpet back?
Yeah, I think it's unlikely. First of all, I agree that I'm sure Tom Brady will give him a phone call or two and say, "Hey, you sure you don't want to do this one more time?" I've been there. Gronk's been there. But Gronk will probably give him a call. Say, "Hey, you know what? First thing you're going to do is, once training camp hits, you're going to start to feel weird, and you're going to want to come back. And now's the time to make sure you do it." But I don't know. To me, I think Ali Marpet has probably decided, "Hey, I can walk away from this game now, healthy, without concerns." I think he's a little concerned about health going forward. He sees what's happening with veteran players, the CTE situation. He's one of those guys in that scrum every snap and getting his head knocked around. It's not easy. I think he made a smart decision. I commend him for it. I think he'll probably stay retired. I don't think they'll be able to lure him back, and I think the Bucs know that too. It's one of the reasons I think they were kind of quick to re-sign Ryan Stinney. I think he's a guy that they believe can step up and step in. And again, when you're picking where they are in the draft, first round, second round, you're looking at guard is a position where you can probably plug somebody in right away and get a starting caliber player still, even at in the low 20s. So I think they're in pretty good shape there. I think they'll be okay. Look, I'm not saying it's easy to replace Ali Marpet. The guy's a Pro Bowl caliber player, best lineman they've had for a long time, and he won't be easy to replace. But one thing the Bucs have done a pretty good job of is draft linemen in recent years. And let's not forget, free agency hasn't even started yet, so that's out there for them too.
Roy Cummings, pewterpirates.com, pewterpirates.com. All right. We asked you, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Without Brady, where do you like the Bucs in the division? And you go, well, they're rebuilding. I like them for last. Okay. Let's just say they're able to keep half of what's out there. How do you like them now?
It's a quarterback-driven league, and you've got the greatest of all time playing some of the best football of his career, still surrounded by all those weapons that he had offensively, still surrounded by the bulk of a defense that continues to grow and get better. The coaching staff is intact. First, there's no reason to believe they can't be. They've got the piece. This was the missing link. This is what they needed to be the playoff caliber Super Bowl contender that they have been for the last couple of years. This was the piece they needed. All the other pieces are great, but without the quarterback, you struggle to score. You struggle to maintain ball possession. Your defense is on the field for too long. Your special teams get compromised in some ways. You lean on the kicker a little bit too much where you might not want him. All that's gone because Tom Brady's back, and he's one flick of the wrist away from turning a 3rd and 8 into a punt, from turning that from into a punt into a first down and a touchdown or a score. So he makes all the difference in the world. I mean, you saw it happen 3 years ago. It happened again last year, not quite as obviously to the degree, but he's back. So if this team is they are as compelling again as they were a year ago and the year before. So it's a completely different story now. You turn the page and gee, there's Tom Brady and there's a contender.
He's Roy Cummings. PewterPirates.com is where you can read his work. PewterPirates.com. You can follow Roy on Twitter, RCummingsFHCN, RCummingsFHCN. Well, listen, don't plan any off days for the next couple of weeks because the new NFL season begins Wednesday afternoon, and, well, make sure your phone's charged.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Got to have it right by my side for sure.
Thank you, Roy, as always. Be well.
Pleasure's always mine, guys. Thanks for having me.
Roy Cummings, kind enough to join us once again, PewterPirates.com. I believe before they reworked Evans' deal, they were $11 million over. So they're right around it. I mean,
I've got them at $3 million over right now.
Okay. Right.
But again, there's
Brady's, I believe, all salary at 25. And I'm wondering, you turn that into a signing bonus with like a veteran minimum base and then basically go, here's a check. That the problem is he doesn't have any more years on a deal. See, there's nowhere to move the money, is my understanding,
right,
with Brady. So
they would have to extend him to another year.
Do you, or two,
knowing the last year is never going to happen.
Right. Basically dummy years, voidable years, but you then get to turn his $25 million into a bonus. You can then spread it out over 3 years. He only counts 8 and change against the cap this year. He gets his money for this year up front. And you've just saved yourself 16, 17 million on the cap for this year. Now you've kicked the can down the road, but as we've talked about for a while now, what kicks in next year? The new network TV deal. We're talking huge money, which isn't fully finished yet either. I mean, they haven't figured out what they're doing with Sunday Ticket. I mean, the deal's only going to get bigger.
Right. Yeah, we still don't know if Sunday Ticket's going to be in one spot or in two, more than likely two. Which two?
And how many billion? I mean, let's be honest, whether it's just
you have Amazon Amazon and Disney Plus on one side, and all indications are now DirecTV feels if they don't keep it, they don't even have a product.
Well, we've been saying that for a while now. We didn't know why they were saying we're not going to pick up the option.
It's more expensive than Dish. If you want to go to satellite, you could go to Dish and spend half the money. The only thing DirecTV was offering was
this
the ticket.
Yeah,
that's it.
So they're probably going to add $2 billion a year for Sunday Ticket. You divide that up by 32. And I know you're supposed to split it in half with the players and all that, but it's funny how usually more than 50% ends up with the owners. So you can do the math. I'm telling you, the salary cap, which is $208.2 million this year, minimum 240 next year is my prediction. Minimum 240.
Our salary cap, it'll stay the same. That's why we're Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Then
Kind of crazy how bad the weather was at this tournament and how good it is this morning.
still cold there, though. Look what they're wearing. It's
Still a little windy.
I don't know about wind. Doesn't look windy because the flags look dead calm.
Oh, but that's some pristine golf weather.
It's perfect.
It's
except for the-
46 in Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's cold
Whoa.
because it's in the 60s here. So
46 and sunny though.
yeah, I don't care. It's cold.
Yeah, it's still cold. Who am I kidding? That guy's got an undershirt on in the back. Oh, he's not.
Sergio's not happy. Well, that's a leaderboard that really makes you excited.
Right?
Hari, Hoagie. Is it Hogue? Hoge? Because I know that it's
No,
not
I think he pronounces it Hoagie.
Hoagie,
Hoagie?
right? It's Hoagie
Yeah.
because he won a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Oh, that's not fun at all.
Come on.
Oh, came back to him, spun all the way around.
Oh my gosh, that's right. The Bucs play in Germany.
Yeah, they have 5 or 6 international games, but the first ever game in Germany.
That is going to be awesome. I wonder if those Germans are going to come out and see Tom.
I wonder if there wasn't a side business deal made with Brady to come back just for that purpose.
That's worth investigating.
Where do you see that it's the Chiefs game in Germany?
Yeah, because I know that they scheduled it, but
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong.
they just scheduled them, not their opponent.
Well, he's saying it's Chiefs. I'd be
That-
honked if that were the case.
That would be awesome. Because they didn't play last year.
No, it's once every 5 or 6 or whatever it is, because that's the other side,
Mm-hmm.
or once every 4, rather. Does work out well now, though, that Brady's going to Pittsburgh for my Steelers season tickets.
Mm-hmm. The Bucs opponent in Germany has not been announced.
Yeah. Canada Relief, I'd be stunned if they sent that game, Mahomes and Brady, to Germany. But maybe. Wow. They don't usually give games like that away.
Yeah, the networks would not be happy if that game got sent to Germany.
I mean, that's an 8:00 start. That's a prime time of the Bucs prime time games. And I mean, they've got Dallas again on the road. They've got Kansas City and Green Bay at home.
I mean, that's actually a fight with between the networks as to who would carry that game. Fox would, well, if Tampa's the home team, CBS would desperately want that game at 4:25. Sunday Night Football would want it. Monday Night Football would want it.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
As we reach 22 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Shelby, Mast. We call them our bracketologists. Gannett had them first, USA Today, and all their papers. bracketwag.com. We'll have him on in about 15 minutes. Just get his impressions, whether or not the selection committee got it right, teams he thinks are misseeded, because that's usually, if you dig down, you use that info and pick upsets accordingly. Shelby Mast in about 15 minutes' time. As Roy Cummings was coming on the air at the top of the hour, Mark, and this is a skill, that's don't try this at home, but while one co-host is on the air with microphones open, you still have to communicate with producer on other side of the glass. And in this case, young Felipe had to change the channel.
Well, yes, there is live sports right now. Monday morning.
Right.
In the 8 o'clock hour, I have live televised sports.
Right. And it's not soccer. It's not cricket. It's not Australian rules football.
No.
It's not a tennis match from Dubai.
It's the players.
Right.
And I must say, in the still of the morning air, looks gorgeous.
Well, it should be. It rained for 2+ days. It's as green as it'll get.
Once they show the players in their long sleeve shirts with their jackets over them, and we found out it was 46 this morning in Jacksonville.
Right.
It looks really nice.
It does.
That's a bit chilly for golf.
It is, although it's downright balmy compared to what it felt like over the weekend.
No doubt.
So folks were losing their mind on Saturday. Now, I know you live in Southwest Florida and you actually played golf on Saturday. And for those listening up and down the west coast of Florida, and you braved the elements and played on Saturday, welcome to your first British Open appearance. Yeah, how was it?
And for any of you that played on Saturday, I apologize, because if I wasn't in a tournament where I had to, we literally, the four of us playing in a match at one point about 4 holes in, because if you've ever played in one of these member guest events, it's not a 4-hour round. It's it's a 3-hour 9-hole followed by a quick bite, and then you go do it again. It's a long. All of a sudden, there are a lot of players out there who think they're at Augusta National lining up.
Exactly.
And it was, and the two guys we were playing, I get along with great. It was a really fun match, but as we were talking throughout, it was damn near unplayable. We made the comment that this was on the verge of balls rolling on the green wind. And they're playing a tour event where the temperatures are 20 degrees cooler, and the wind might be blowing even a little bit more than it was blowing in Southwest Florida. And I'm telling you, I've never played golf in wind like that before.
Well, apparently it was a 60-yard wind at the TPC. A 60-yard wind at certain places on the course. I forget who it was who said that he hit normally he hits a 9-iron, X number of yards, and he had to bust a 9-iron to hit it like a $115 on one particular hole. And on the very next hole, with the wind coming completely at his back, he had like 206 to the pin, and he hit 9-iron.
Oh, yeah.
From the middle of the fairway, and sure enough, he was damn near pin high.
And probably yelling, "Get down," when it left his club.
Right. So, Rory on the famous 17th there, took a club. I think it was a 7-iron that he hits about 185, 190. And it turned out he hit 123 yards. And he said, I busted it. to hit it $123 and keep the ball dry. So, but there guys freaking out. Commentators, by the way, most of the golfers actually just said, well, that happens. We all had to play it.
Right. Everybody played the same course.
Now, I think it's because the purse is $20 million. I do. If this was the Honda or the Arnold Palmer Invitational, I think guys would have been complaining. The other thing they did say, though, and they did make specific reference to the last two events in the Florida swing. They said the PGA Tour set up the course great. They really knew what the conditions were, where the wind would be on the holes, and they said they moved tees up when they had to. All right, they did not crush us with pins for the second round. They did what they could, knowing full well we're playing Muirfield after the storm rolls through.
Right, and that is good on the tour. And the other side of this is, David, of all of the events that golfers are not going to bash, this is their tournament. There's not anybody out there that's going to start taking shots at the players, with the exception of Brandel Chambly on the Golf Channel after, in which he said the 17th is a terrible hole. At least in these conditions, it's a terrible hole. One of the most famous holes in the sport.
Well, quite frankly, if it were not for that 17th hole, this course and this tournament would have no identity.
You said that earlier, and I'm going to take a different side. And the only reason I'm doing this is that TPC, for anybody that's played any video game golf in their life, was the first course that threw itself out there. And I've never played that course. I was at the course once in another life for an event, and I told the cart guy, can you drive me to 17 so I can see the tee? Course happened to be closed that day. He said, sure. And we hopped in the cart and rode out, and I looked at the tee. I'm like, do you have an 8-iron and 3 balls? And he said, no. And then we went back in. But I've played that course at bars on, video golf games on PlayStation and things like that for so long. And if anybody played any video game golf in their life, which you're not a video game guy,
right?
We all know that course really well. The guys that play simulators. So I think it has a little more identity than that.
Okay.
But to your point, if you say TPC Sawgrass, the first thing that comes back at you, the 17th Island Green.
When NBC and the Golf Channel start promoting the tournament, they promote that hole.
Right, that's the shot you see.
With almost like the Jaws music and how it gobbles you up, and you're thinking about it all day.
Right.
Mark, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2005 on the GameCube. That was the game that I played.
That's in that world, so many people have played this
Fair
course. Enough. But again, you're right. You're right in that it is 17. Even the damn trophy is the guy sitting on top of the Island Green.
All right. I bring this up because this is a little bit of a pet peeve between the two of us. Mark, I think all the players should do steroids because I just want to be entertained. Miller, when it comes to the rules of golf, outside of Brandel Chambly, is the biggest stickler I know. Did you see what happened to Keegan Bradley?
I saw. You're going to have to help me with why he got the 2-shot penalty, because I know he got a 2-shot penalty.
So he lags a putt up to a certain distance, and he marks the ball. He left the marker there. He puts the quarter behind the ball. I don't know why he didn't pick up the ball. I don't. But he put the marker behind the ball, and the ball was sitting there. The wind moves the ball. Clearly moves it inches. Moves it. Keegan turns, looks at his players, and the whole group now, remember, playing threesomes.
Right.
The whole group says, no, you're good. You put the marker down first. Okay, just put it back. And remember, the USGA in the last couple of years made some rule changes, and this is what they do for a living.
Right.
They're to a large degree. Yes, there are rules officials and the whole that, but all of them say the exact same thing. No. You had the marker down first. You're good. Move the ball back. Apparently, no. apparently he had to play it where the wind moved it to. And they told him about it once again 5 holes later. He's walking down the second fairway. Now remember this on Saturday when they're fighting for pars.
Right. He shot 69 that
3
round.
under
in that
yes.
win. He even said it might be the best round of golf I've ever played.
And he had to sign for a 71. And he said, I'm really proud of myself. They told me in the middle of the round and I kept it together. He said, because, now I have no idea why he didn't just take the ball, put it in his pocket. Okay, I don't. But he put the marker behind the ball. I don't know if he was leaving it there and he was like stalking the putt or what have you. But I just know that the ball was there. He puts his marker behind it and the wind moves the ball. And apparently now I got to admit, that's one of those rules that just seems strange to me.
To me also, and I will tell you, I am completely lightening up on these rules later in life because I can't keep up with them. They're making changes, trying to make the game simpler, and yet in something like this.
You were on the course, and I know we got to go to break here. Shelby Mast coming up. You were on the course on Saturday. It was so bad as to how many of them were putting the ball in the water on 17 on Saturday that I wanted the guys on the Golf Channel. If I was there with Azinger, I would have written on a card, can you hit it intentionally left into the gallery? Where's the drop? Because I wondered, was the drop zone? Because from there, it's a little side wedge and you got a 10-footer for par. Because let me tell you, from the tee, it seemed like everybody was making 5. And I'm thinking, well, if I hit it into the stands on the left, the worst I'm going to make is 4. And I honestly, it was so bad at one point, I'm like, is this a play? Could you do this? But Miller and Moulton. All right. Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? And are there a couple of teams that, based on where they were seated and the draw they have, that maybe you should keep an eye on? Shelby Mast, Bracket Wag next. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And I also think if you hit the ball into a divot, you should in the fairway, you should get a drop.
Totally.
It's the worst rule in spin. It's one of the 5 worst rules in sports.
I've always felt that.
Wait, you hit a ball into a divot. You hit a ball into a divot, and what?
You got to play it out of the divot.
That the rule now is that you play you.
It's always been the rule. You play the ball as it lies. If the ball, if you're on the hole before me and you make a divot in the middle of the fairway and my ball rolls into your divot, I hit it right down the middle of the fairway, right where I'm supposed to, and it goes into a divot, I have to hit it out of that divot. I think it's the dumbest rule in the sport.
Because the divot basically should be ground under repair.
Right.
Okay. In theory, is a fresh divot should almost be marked.
And
like literally,
that's all
somebody
you got to do it.
Somebody should come out with a little spray can, and for every fresh divot, as soon as they're walking away, they really should run out and just draw little holes around.
But they don't want white holes all over the golf course.
Right.
So it'd be really simple to say if your ball lies in a divot, going for the pin, huh? Oh, you're 1 under. I guess I don't blame you.
A little short and left.
Yeah, but it's, you're 1 under. I can't say I'm. Oh yeah, I can. With that pin there, you got to be 10 yards over and spinning it. You're that good.
Hey, someone aced on 17 yesterday.
Yeah, Lowry, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome.
Who is
So-
now what, ace 16 in the Masters and ace 17 in the Players.
So great story from the member guest. Friday, we get into the there's a closest to the pinhole.
Mhm.
Everybody that gets from the flight that gets closest to pin is in a chip off. They have the chip off in front of the bar, clubhouse. We have a practice screen. Everybody's around watching. We get in the chip off. Well, Bob Prang's one of our assistant pros. He runs it. He thinks he hosts a radio show.
Uh-oh.
Bob loves the microphone.
Okay.
So he's wanting to interview all the participants. So he's going to interview me. He knows what I do for a living. And all Buckley and I want to do is get this shot over with.
Right.
So we're on a mat for this shot. And Buckley, as I'm getting interviewed, Bob's like, so what are you thinking? I said, Bob, we're really trying to get this shot over with. I'm hoping right now that this microphone will let the girls at the bar know that I need another vodka and I'll be up for it in a matter of minutes. And I'm just mocking him. All of a sudden I hear Buckley behind me on the mat go, don't move. 76-yard shot. As I'm standing there, the ball is 6 inches behind my right heel. Buckley doesn't take a practice swing, barely looks. Whoa. Skip, whoa, in the hole. Place went nuts.
Oh my God.
That's
14 years people have been, the longest that someone had been there is 14 years. No one's ever seen a hole in one on the closest to the pin before. So Buck may be back next year just out of winning the flight in that. I don't know if I have a choice. Smiggy, you're out.
Didn't you witness one of your friends hit a hole in one? Or when you?
I've witnessed one. That's the second one I've witnessed. I've never had one.
I've never seen one in person, but damn near close.
Yeah, my buddy Jim Weir had one, I don't know, about 3 months ago when I was playing with him. So in our match on Friday, our second match, first hole, I split the fairway, 160 yards out, hit 8-iron, flew it in the hole, David.
Hey.
Except for it hit the back plastic of the cup.
Oh,
and came out 30 feet. No ball mark, flew it in the damn hole. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a long match today. Should have made 2, made 4, don't win the hole.
Let me call Shelby.
Boy, I'll tell you, Shelby. Well, they would have loved Shelby. Shelby at Tennessee is a 2. Duke is a 3. He had Michigan out, by the way.
Yeah.
A&M in. First team out was Michigan.
He had Dayton way out.
Yeah, 5 out.
Shelby's on hold. We're coming back now.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Approaching 20 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for all of your vehicles, no matter what kind they are, including that big old lawnmower that you have. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, make sure you buy your Napa filters online or at Napa Auto Parts. Napa, proud sponsor of Miller and Moulton. Shelby Mast has been good to us over the years, and we wake him up once again. He is the Bracket Wag, bracketwag.com, the bracketologist for Gannett, USA Today, and all of their newspapers. Shelby, it's David and Mark once again. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Well, we're fine. So how'd the committee do in your estimation?
I thought pretty good. It's a solid bracket. They were fair about it. I only had one complaint, so to speak. That's because it was a team I missed, but when they happened, it puzzles me. But besides that, overall, pretty good.
All right. Well, what was your biggest complaint with the bracket?
Michigan. Not only are they in at 17-14, they're above the playing games. And that's a head scratcher to me.
If I read your bracketwag.com site correctly, you had Michigan first one out, Rutgers last one in.
Yeah.
And so the team that you have in that didn't make it was A&M, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Do you think, Shelby, that the tournament committee doesn't value Saturday and Sunday of the tournament the way that maybe they used to, or the way that they should? Of the conference tournaments, that is, Shelby.
Yeah, they've let it be known that they don't put much emphasis on that because it's too late in the process of doing the bracket to worry about those games. I think me, along with many others, was a bit enamored by A&M's late run. There was a fantastic run for them, but it just wasn't enough. It was close, but not enough. But I jumped on the train like everyone, thinking, well, A&M's in. And, again, the whole body of work in there didn't add up to a bid.
Shelby, here's what concerns me is others who do what you do, some of them more prominent than you, others not as prominent as you, who were saying yesterday, well, there's really not much difference between a 2 and a 3. It just determines who wears the white and who wears the dark jerseys in the Sweet 16. I mean, the whole damn tournament, Shelby, is about matchups. It does make a big deal whether or not you face this team or this team in any round, doesn't it?
It does, but I understand what they're saying about there's not much difference because we see them 1 through 68, and the difference between number 8 and number 9 usually is just so small, but that is a seed line. So we don't put any extra emphasis on trying to get a team to 2 or put them at 3, but we just try to seed them correctly.
Anybody that you had seated way too high or way too low?
Iowa State. I had them at 8. They were 11, and that was my biggest miss.
Well, but do you then look at them when you're maybe filling out your own ballot for you-know-what and giggles and say, I think the committee is undervaluing this team here? And, because that's what I look for, Shelby. And, we all sometimes have good brackets and sometimes we can't pick you-know-what. But I try to look for where I think the committee is off here. And I look at a 5-12 matchup and go, really, that's a 7-10 matchup disguised as a 5-12.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes, but with Iowa State, I'd already had it in my head I was going to pick them to lose. So, I might win, but not because of their value as a seed, but just because of the matchup.
Well, and I was with Iowa State, I was the same way. I was going to be that way with LSU, Shell, because they just fired their coach and they're playing one another. On the bottom end, I know you had Chattanooga off by a spot. Is there any of the AQs, seeded 12, 13, 14 that you thought got either a little bit better seed or a little bit worse seed that you think may give them a shot?
I think South Dakota State, Chattanooga also. I had them as a 12, and they ended up 13. UAB and New Mexico State, I had 13, and they ended up 12. I don't know why. South Dakota State every year is just super solid. It's 30-4 this year. They beat everybody they played just about, and they didn't get up to the 12 line. So it seems like they have lack of respect yearly. It's something they're used to. But that's a team that can do some damage. So can Chattanooga. I got them going Sweet 16.
Ultimately, where did you have Iowa? All right, a lot of people now, they win the Big Ten, and a lot of people may ride them in the tournament. Where did you have them seated?
I had them at 5.
All right.
They sometimes don't do well for mid-majors and put them against one another. I would have liked to have seen the USC Miami and the Murray State San Francisco be switched up a little bit. But all in all, a lot of times I see these 5-12s and they'll put 2 mid-majors in there and really try to maybe hurt someone. All in all, it seems like the matchups between power schools and the mid-majors, they did a pretty good job of the matchups as well, Shelby, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. There was a few little outliers, but for the most part, it's a fair bracket, and I haven't heard of any giant complaints. And usually, by the end of Sunday night, there's a campaign or whatever about how this team got hosed, and they got a matchup or whatever because they're under or overseeded. I haven't heard any of that, and so that's good.
All right, gut feeling when you saw the bracket and you began to ponder it over. Is there a region that you go, this is the toughest region, or a region in which you go, this is probably the weakest region? Because, and once again, this is my theory, if I feel there's a region that's the weakest region, that's usually where I think the upsets are going to occur. Some people go the other way. They look at the toughest region and go, that's where the upsets are going to occur. I'm just curious, when the bracket came out, was there a region that you looked at one way or the other?
No, I thought they did a pretty good job of keeping them somewhat even. I've heard, I've read on the internet last night, everybody, or some pundits were saying the East was the toughest, and then some others were saying the West, and it was divided equally. There was no clear-cut consensus on the toughest or the weakest. So I think that means it's pretty fair.
Shelby, if you want to pick up about 200,000 new fans, make sure you let everybody know you had Tennessee as a 2 and Duke as a 3, because that was the issue yesterday, apparently nationally, that Tennessee did not get a 2 seed, and people were all bent out of shape about it.
And I am a Duke fan. So it hurt me to do that, but I felt Tennessee had the better resume, but Duke with their 2 big wins early, Kentucky and Gonzaga, that kept them on the 2 lines. I'm still confused by it, but I'll take it as a Duke fan, but I had Tennessee up there.
He's Shelby Mast. He is USA Today's bracketologist. Check out his site, bracketwag.com, bracketwag.com. Final question, Shelby. So what do you do now?
I don't know. It's been so long since I've had a day without basketball. I don't know. Clean house, maybe?
Well, enjoy your day off, even if you don't know what to do with it. And Shelby, thanks for your time.
Thank you much.
Shelby Mast, bracketwag.com, bracketwag.com. Follow him on Twitter at bracketwag, W-A-G.
One of the things that I always get irritated by, and you and I have the same complaint, they'll put a 5-12 game and put 2 mid-majors in there.
Yep.
Now, Houston and UAB, I don't know. I don't really look at Houston as a mid-major anymore. They're that kind, but Iowa, Richmond, that's a good game. St. Mary's gets a play-in game. Hey, St. Mary's is a 5. I don't know. They're not making them the 12. If they get Wyoming, so be it. If not, it's going to be Indiana. And New Mexico State and UConn in the other one. The only one, like I said, I just quick glance, Murray State playing the Dons
of San Francisco
and USC playing Miami. I would have liked to seen those switched.
I agree.
But I'm not going to get too uptight about that.
It would have been very interesting if they had put San Francisco up against USC. Give the smaller California program a chance to go up against one of the biggest California programs. I don't think Andy would have liked it at USC, but,
Right. But, I mean, I'm on where Shelby was. Illinois plays Chattanooga. Chattanooga's got a legit big a transfer that's really good.
Well, I think he's the kid who was supposed to be at Kansas last year, Sousa.
Yes.
And, for all sorts of reasons, never played there or didn't play much. And, yeah, he transferred to the Mocs.
And you've got Vermont that's a solid team.
Vermont beat everyone in the America East tournament by over 30 points, including UMBC by 39.
They play Arkansas on a 4-13. I like Arkansas a lot. That's a tough matchup.
It is also because, let's face it, Arkansas likes to let their opponents jump out to about a 15-point lead. I mean, Eric Musselman's team doesn't really start playing until they're down 15 mid-first half.
Don't know enough about the Zips in the 4-13 against UCLA, Akron in that game. And then the other one, Providence, San Diego State, David. San Diego State is at 13, gets Providence.
Providence, regular season Big East champs, but was one and done in the Big East tournament. Can we go back to the Akron one? Did you hear what happened in the MAC? So Kent State was the favorite.
Right.
Kent State wins their semifinal, and they know they're going to play Akron. It's a bitter rivalry. And some guys from Kent State are videotaped saying not too flattering things about Akron and some of their players and what have you. 4 players get suspended for all or parts of the MAC championship game. I mean, between the school and the conference, I believe the best player on Kent State was suspended for the game, and 3 others were suspended for the first half. And Akron wins comfortably.
I like Euclid to move on to the next round then. But San Diego State, you heard Shelby there. I thought I heard that right. Sweet 16 about either Chattanooga or San Diego State. But San Diego State, if they win and Iowa does what they're supposed to do, San Diego State and Iowa in the second round would be a tremendous game.
The one thing I will say, and I'm not a Fran McCaffrey guy, and I'm not a fan of his teams usually in tournament play because they don't play any defense. And there are a lot of teams that don't play defense in the regular season, but when it becomes conference and NCAA tournament time, D up, Fran's teams never have. I mean, they've been Olay, year round.
They weren't this weekend.
Correct.
They weren't this weekend.
It's been a while since an Iowa team has defended like that. I went,
They looked really good.
Yeah. To the point where you looked at them and said, if you guys are going to play like this, we're going to have to rethink who's the Big Ten team that's going to go the farthest.
Particularly in the first half yesterday against Purdue when they stunk shooting threes, which they're great at, and were able to get through all of it. Needed a little help off the glass to get to the finals.
Yeah. Calling the banker there.
Bank was open late on Saturday
Yes,
for the
it
Hawks.
was. Glad for the Hoosiers it didn't cost them a bid, though. But clearly they needed that second win.
No doubt.
I mean, clearly they needed it because they were barely in at the end of the day. Miller and Moulton. So for those of you who are leaving us in the next minute or so, I mean, Brady unretires. The whole bracket thing, the Gators coach gets up and leaves in the middle of the afternoon to go to Georgia. And they're still playing the players. Hell, they haven't even gotten to the final round of the players. They won't get to that till lunch. Thank goodness it's been sunny the last 3 days. They'd be finishing this thing on Tuesday.
If they're able to get done today.
Right. And all the baseball players have shown up at camp, and guys are literally being signed by the minute. And there's been a couple of significant trades. Thank you very much. Remember, these GMs couldn't do anything for 3 months. They're chomping at the bit here.
And at least half of them are like Moulton that can't wait to deal a guy.
Got that right. Think about a guy you wanted to get rid of on December 1st. You had to wait till March. Miller and Moulton.
Check us out, twitch.tv, Miller and Moulton. Text the show as well. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program.
The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh boy. Oh.
Jesus. It's a little left. Although right's no
16?
option. Yeah. There's another guy. There's a guy that can live the best life. Russell Knox, making all kinds of money.
Yep.
And could walk into his downtown bar and no one would know who he was.
It means I'm most likely done at Fox, is what it means. In fact, it's difficult to envision. I certainly won't be with the A team on Fox.
Olsen's got a guy.
Olsen has his brother.
Okay. Well, then there's that.
The only chance for me at Fox is if Adam Amin or Gus Johnson becomes the B team, who the analyst is, and they may want me for the number 2 analyst at Fox on Sunday. But the likelihood is my Fox days are over.
Watch out! He's got get away from the top speed.
That's right, Chris Johnson. That's a big decision for Fox because
We're coming back.
Gus and Joel and the ratings on.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks for being with us. The bonus hour here in the 239. A lot to kick around if you're just joining us. Tom Brady unretiring. It's unbelievable. Really is. It's awesome. I think it's great. But I'm a huge Brady guy, and I'm a Brady guy. Wasn't a Patriots guy, not a Bucs guy. I like Tom Brady.
You and I are both the same in that. I was getting crap from people, yesterday on Twitter. You guys were destroying me when the news came out. Everybody's like, oh, nice, a bad beat there, Miller, giving up your season tickets.
And I wasn't destroying you. I just sent out a little thing that said, hey, you just better call them.
And I've sent the email. It's 9:00. They're just getting to the office.
Right.
I think they're busy this morning. I don't know.
I have to admit, if I was them, I would have gotten to work early. That's just me. Thinking today, tomorrow, might do a little business. That's all. Might sell a few suites and tickets.
Doesn't look like I've gotten a email back just yet.
Right. Just keep it handy, though. And if you get up and leave, I know what it's about.
Right. So we'll see. If it happens, it happens. But and someone in the Twitch chat room was like, I hope you get put behind the fair foul pole if you get tickets again, you fair weather this. I'm not a fair weather Bucs fan. I'm not a Bucs fan.
Right.
It would be better for what you and I do for a living when they're good. We have desperately wanted the Miami Dolphins to be good for a few years. It just makes our life as radio show hosts easier. But I'm a fan of watching greatness. And Tom Brady's the greatest thing I've seen to play this position. So I've had a hell of a time enjoying it.
Mark, and I get it's an investment, but you got to go to one of the games. You got to use your tickets at some point.
How many games you go to last year?
0.
Yes, you go to a single one.
Well, that's what I just want to make sure. I know you think, oh, come on, you got to go to one. And I just wanted to prove the point.
Right.
Mark, how many again?
0. And
So the year
I'm ticked off
before,
I didn't go to the game against the Rams that they lost. That actually bothers me that I didn't go to the playoff game because I didn't get what I thought I was going to get for the tickets. And at the end of the day, should have sucked it up and gone to watch the game.
year before, by the way, you couldn't
do anything. with it.
Right. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. So you've yet to go.
Correct.
But you're on the list. You'll get called today.
I hope so.
You'll get them.
I hope so.
You're the only one who dumped their Bucs tickets after Brady announced his retirement. I mean, please. We all have been watching Bucs games for the last half dozen years. There were 40,000 people at those games. The only reason they got filled is if they had a really good out-of-town opponent. Bucs people weren't selling out Bucs games. They were sick of the Glazers. The team wasn't winning. They were staying home. First half of the year, the games are hot anyway.
What's funny was how last week Mark mentioned that when he canceled his season tickets, they asked him, hey, just out of curiosity, did you do this just because of Brady? And he was like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
And that was good research by their part, by the way. You want to be able to go back when you have the staff meeting and go, okay, what's the cancellation rate? Well, it's 34%. How many of that's because of Brady? Well, I can tell
92%.
So, is it okay if we attend a little bit of business here in the Twitch chat room? There's been some stuff on Twitter about it and what have you. It became official late last week on Friday. So Joe Buck leaving Fox. He had been with Fox since 94. He had done every World Series on Fox since Fox got the World Series, and that was in 96. He did the 96 series. He did the 98 series. And then since 2000, Fox has had the World Series. So you add it all up, Joe Buck has done 24 World Series, the last 22 in a row. That's over. They haven't announced what they're going to do. The expectation in the industry is that Joe Davis, who is the voice of the Dodgers, he replaced Vin Scully. he's really good. Nice young man. Worked with him for one football game. He filled in for Joe when Joe had to do the World Series, and he did the game with Troy. His dad's his spotter. All right. They're, it's funny. I talked to Dad, actually made a mistake in this game that we did. And I said to Joe at halftime, I go, what do you do when your dad makes a mistake? He goes, what can you do? He goes, Dad knows he made a mistake. There's not much you can do there. And I asked Dad. So Dad was staying at the hotel. Joe had to go off and do something. And Dad stayed at the hotel. And so after the game, I had a drink with Dad, and I just said, so can you be fired? All right. And the guy he was with laughing. Okay. The stats guy was with him laughing. He goes, anybody can get fired. And I go, right. I know. Can you get fired? All right. And he goes, well, I guess so, but he'd have to deal with Mom.
But here's the side of it. I can see this depending on how Mom is. He starts making mistake after mistake. Who's Mom going to be more upset with?
Right.
Her husband for making her son look bad, or
Right.
her son
No.
for wanting someone to make himself look good, to
Husband.
make mother's boy
No.
look good?
Mom might be the first one on the phone saying,
Right.
got to get rid of Dad.
I love him. I'm not going to divorce him, but you need a new spotter.
Yeah, I'm not going to let him leave the house. It's for your own good. So the expectation is Joe Davis will be the new voice of the World Series on Fox. And then Fox has 2 of the next 3 Super Bowls. The expectation is Fox is just going to promote from within. This will be a new era at Fox. They had assembled some nice young talent in recent years. Kevin Burkhardt was their number 2 play-by-play guy with Greg Olson, who's someone that they had sought for years. He did a little broadcasting while he was still a player. When he was on IR, he even did some games. And last year was his first full year, got mostly good reviews. Adam Amin had been acquired from ESPN. He was their number 3 play-by-play guy with Mark Schlereth as his analyst. The expectation is that people are just going to move up because Joe Davis was actually number 4 on football, but he was Joe's designated fill-in on baseball.
Is there somebody are there other pieces that could still move? Ian Eagle. I mean, I know he's someone who
Probably not Ian Eagle or Kevin Harlan could maybe go to Amazon and do something if for whatever reason Al Michaels. And the other thing that happened in the last 3-4 days is that apparently Kirk Herbstreit has officially signed to be the analyst on Thursday Night Football on Amazon. Well, if Fox is going to promote from within, then there's no place for Al Michaels to go except to Amazon. So then the Thursday night game will be Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. So they've never worked together before. That would be interesting, but there you have it. And then we'll see. There are some that are wondering, Mark, would Fox put Gus Johnson on the NFL? Because he did the NFL with CBS.
Right.
But he was like the number 4 or 5 crew. But he's the number 1 Fox College crew. And him and Joel Klatt have a little something going on. You've talked about it. You've become a pretty big fan of what Fox is doing from 11 in the morning through 4 in the afternoon with that whole, mostly Big Ten, but their pregame show and the big noon game.
Yeah, and I mean, it took a hit last year without Urban, quite frankly. Urban was good on the pregame. He really was. I mean, we will ultimately forget that. I thought their show took a hit last year because I don't think Stoops was nearly as good as Urban was the year prior. But they've got that 11 to 4 o'clock thing working right now.
They do. What was interesting was that Joe Buck was technically under contract with Fox. He had 1 more year left on his deal. And so Joe could not go anywhere. I mean, he couldn't go anywhere. Now, clearly, at some point in time, things got where they did between Joe and Fox and his future. And, anyway, Fox, I think, tried to sign him long-term. But Fox on Friday just said to Joe, pains us to do this, but if you want to go, you can go. And they just let him walk. They didn't trade him for anything. Like the joke when ABC and NBC, they traded Al Michaels from ABC to NBC, and ABC actually got the rights to a cartoon character back. Joe Buck was just allowed to walk. That's it. It ended 28 years. Here you go. And so,
which shows you how solid their relationship was. I mean, it's everything that I read, and you know better than I because you're behind the scenes, but everything that I read about it was amicable. Fox didn't really want to let him go. They had a great relationship, but the relationship was so good that they allowed him to do
Correct.
that. That doesn't happen often in this business.
Correct.
It should tell you a lot about Joe Buck, by the way.
He was the ultimate team guy. He did everything whenever they called him. I mean, honestly, could you leave a greeting, wish someone a happy bar mitzvah? Joe would take time out, record it, send it to him. He was the ultimate team player. And so, yeah, I mean, so you're going to have Joe and Troy doing Monday Night Football with the Mannings doing the Manning cast. We don't know how many games they're going to do. Last year they did like 7. I'm sure they're going to try to get them to do as many as they can, 10 or what have you. ABC ESPN is going to get more NFL beginning next year, not 2022, but beginning in 2023 when the new TV deal kicks in. There'll be like 3 Monday Night Football double headers. They'll get 2 playoff games instead of 1. They'll get like a double header on the final Saturday of the season because they don't do Monday Night Football the final week of the year. So ABC is going to end up with like 25 games where right now they do like 17, 18. But that's for 2023 and beyond. So if you add it all up, Mark, with what Joe's going to make, what Troy's going to make, and what the Mannings are making, they're spending about $50 million on Monday Night Football just for their 4 announcers, not including sideline reporters, not including staff,
not including
travel,
the whole pregame show,
nothing,
which is a monster of a show.
Right. Just the 4 announcers that will be doing 1 game a week. But remember, they're paying $2.7 billion a year to broadcast the NFL. $2.7 billion. What's 50 million into 2.7 billion?
And since Gruden, Monday Night Football's lacked an identity. They've got one now.
Andrew Marchant, one of the top, if not the top right now, media columnists in the business, said, really, you got to go. They had Tirico and Gruden for a handful of years there as a team. And that network has been trying to get back to having a crew that was that solid. The reason, by the way, because there are a lot of you that are like, well, why in the world would they spend this kind of money? We don't care who the announcers are. We're going to watch anyway, whether we turn the sound up or down, Well, the National Football League cares. I'm telling you they do. And clearly the National Football League let the folks in Bristol, Connecticut know. Not real crazy about the product, guys. Just letting you know.
And they got a good schedule last year. Last year's Monday night games, probably the best Monday night slate they've had in a while. And if they want to continue to get good Monday night slates, this is one of the things that had to happen.
So Joe and I have not spoken at all. I have no idea what it means for him. I don't think he's going to do much, if any, baseball. That's just a gut feeling of mine. I don't think Joe wants to upset the apple cart from what I know of Joe. They already got guys like Carl Ravitch became the voice this year. Bucs Shelby does a lot of games. My guess is that Joe may sit baseball out unless the network begs him. But so there you have it. That was something that kind of took place. And as for how it impacts me, for those that wonder, it likely means that my Fox career is over.
But your ESPN 1 is starting.
But my Monday Night Football career will begin. What's really funny? You know what arrived in the mail Friday? Literally as the story is breaking.
ESPN the magazine?
No, but that's good. That's good. Right, if they still made one. All right, that's really good. I did Thursday Night Football for 4 years. I never got a pullover, never got a fleece. And so when it was ending, and everybody's wearing theirs, I said to one of the production managers, I go, so what do I have to do to get one of these? You never got one? No, I never got one, and what have you. They go, what size? I go, tarp, biggest one you got. Okay, he goes, yeah, I'll get you one. Well, here we are. It's March. Oh, well, I guess I'm never going to get it. So I'm reading the column that Joe's leaving and he's going to Monday Night Football. UPS guy knocks on the door, go over, get it, open it up. There's my Thursday Night Football Fox fleece.
Well, you got a few more months you can wear it.
I wore it Saturday. Worked perfectly. Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. You did prep one of those, didn't you?
Yep.
I mean, you were gone so long, I thought you might have forgot how the show works.
I'm just starting to get in tune right now, David. I'll be ready by tomorrow.
Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. It's all coming up in about 20 minutes. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Large parachuting spiders could soon invade the East Coast.
Holy.
I think that's better than, I don't know, man. I've got North Fort Myers, man, evades, boy.
We are going to do FGCU now. Coming up. Both their new men's basketball coach and the women and seating and all that sort of thing.
All right. Want to answer a text when we start because I can't respond to the guy. Some of them don't let me respond.
Oh, really?
Must be the carrier. Just said carrier, blah blah blah. So, but he just asked, and we probably shouldn't address it. It says, is Herbie leaving game day then? Which he's not.
No. But
we can just start quickly because I think enough people care about that. And I've got two because this one. My mother refers to Herbie as Cutie Pie. She's 75. She will be watching.
There you go.
One of my first wife's best friends loved Herb Street and was not a football person. And she and her husband, I don't know, but whatever. There's like three couples that went to a lot of Georgia games together. And whatever Herbie said on game day, she just regurgitated. All she would do is watch Herbie.
No.
If I had more information about it, I would suggest a bad or an ugly. On Alligator Alley, You know how it goes straight and then it goes like there's like a little curve on mile marker 75. It's just like
Okay.
a curve.
Right.
Yeah.
On that curve, it gets a little elevated and there's like a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like a gardening truck drove off the rail and down into the pit because I got an hour of traffic on Friday and I saw a crane pulling things
Damn.
out of it.
Oh,
Ouch.
And it was bad. And nice save. Nice. All
Ouch.
hands.
Look at that.
caught an edge.
Look at that.
We never had the combine, but that would have been a highlight.
Quick hands there.
Who's timing my 40?
Oh, don't say it. Don't you dare.
Is that the Bucs?
No. Show would have been over.
At least for you, it would have.
Yeah, like a landscaping, not gardening.
Yes. Julie got fired on Thursday.
Yeah, if
A little bit of a surprise.
that was a semi truck.
Oh, it was a semi.
Semi truck and a passenger in the truck died.
Whoa.
Yeah, one died. That was when we just Friday evening.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Broke clean through the barrier and down.
Oof.
Ugly.
I will say he did 13 years as a head coach, though. He did 4 with East Carolina first go around, 5 with FGCU, 4 with East Carolina second go around.
10 seconds.
And that's 13 years as head coach.
All right, let's go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
$23 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. It's all coming up. Miller and Moulton brought to you by Napa. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. I mean, I think you got the gist of it by now. I mean, if you have a vehicle of any kind, you know, a motor, wheels, if it needs a filter, what do you need to do? You need to go to Napa. And we don't mean California. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. That's where you go. In Southwest Florida, say hi to John or Lisa, Justin, and Kyle. They're the dream team. They own a bunch of places in Southwest Florida. Tell them Miller and Moulton sent you.
There you go. That'd be the way to do it. Got a couple of texts there
All
that
right.
Need to be answered. We were talking about Herb Street going to Amazon. Freak some people out. That mean he's leaving game day?
No.
It's
It's just a side gig.
really well-paid side gig.
As a matter of fact, it is, Mark. I don't know the terms. I'm willing to guess. He's going to do about 15 games. I'm going to say he's going to get around $500,000 a game.
Sounds about right.
Right.
7.5 plus whatever he's making from the mothership. So
Yeah.
he'll double dip like a son of a gun this year.
Right. And I believe his contract's up in a year or so with the mothership. And he's probably going to make 10 when that contract's done, because they're going to, I think he and Fowler are going to become the NFL B team when ABC gets the 6, 7, 8 extra games that they don't have now. They're going to need a B team to do maybe a playoff game. There's going to be 3 Monday Night Football doubleheaders. There's going to be a Saturday doubleheader. So they're going to need 5, 6 games a year to have a B team. And I think Fowler and Herbie will be the B team besides, obviously, the A team on college.
And then we got this text that says, my mother refers to Herbie as cutie pie. She's 75. She will be watching.
There you go. That's all, consultants go. He's got likability.
He really does, too.
Yep.
He really does.
Well,
He's had it for over 20 years, too.
good-looking guy, comes across as a nice guy, doesn't say too many bad things about too many places. That's how you're likable.
Not familiar.
No, you and I have no idea what likability is all about. So, FGCU going to be in the news. They've been in the news. They're going to be in the news again today. They are announcing in 35 minutes who the new men's basketball coach is going to be. It's going to be Pat Chambers. Pat Chambers was last as a head coach at Penn State. He did 9 years with the Nittany Lions. He won the NIT when he was there. His last year at Penn State was the pandemic year. They would have gone to the NCAA tournament if the tournament was not canceled that year. Before Penn State, he spent 2 years at Boston University, Mark. He won the America East Conference tournament and took the Terriers to the NCAA tournament while at BU, and should have taken Penn State to the tournament when he was with them. That's the good news. The reason that he's available is that 2 years ago, his tenure at Penn State ended in some controversy.
And he lost his job because of that controversy.
Correct.
It was in 2019. He pushed a player on national television.
That got him suspended for a couple games.
And then he told a player that I want to loosen the noose that's around your neck.
Right. That the player, what he meant is that, listen, you're playing with the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're playing as if, so much pressure. I want to loosen, the pressure on you. I want to take the pressure off you. He used the word noose. The player is African-American. Needless to say, it didn't go over well. That wasn't really, though, what I think led to ultimately he resigned. There was a former player who made some news. Penn State did an investigation right before the start of the 2021 season. Both sides decided maybe we need to part ways. And it came as a surprise. The players on his team were not happy that he resigned. They, for weeks, they kept talking to the media saying, why did this happen? We don't know why it happened. I would love an explanation as to why it happened. Highly thought of in the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia recruiting area. He was able to get Philly kids to come to Penn State. Penn State has always struggled in basketball recruiting. He did spend the last year in Philly as an assistant with LaSalle. He's got a couple of big boosters in Naples who knew him, were friendly, I think helped push his cause. And this came together obviously very quickly since Michael Fly was only fired 9 days ago.
Yeah, obviously this seems almost as if it was in the works before Fly was fired. I don't know. And I'm
right.
9 days to hire a head coach, the most important hire in your program. And you just fired the guy last Saturday. So
now, in fairness, he did duly in 2 weeks from when Andy resigned to when they announced Joe. It took about 3 weeks to hire Andy. I do think he interviewed less people this time. I do think that this is one of those in which he was on his radar quickly, and every day it got better for Chambers' candidacy. And so I don't think this was nearly as big a search as Ken has done in the past. I don't know that. I have not talked to Ken about the search. I do think that this was the kind of candidate, and I said this from the beginning a week ago. I said, I will be shocked if he does not bring someone in who does not have previous head coaching experience, because they do not want to waste any time. They want to go to and win the ASUN championship this very next year. They need to win right away. They have a money problem. They need to win to solve it.
Be curious, transfer portal, if LaSalle guys, if Penn State guys start coming this way, that he recruited that maybe aren't playing as much. Don't know enough about him to start talking about his coaching ability. I'm the wrong guy to ask. It is a very interesting hire to me.
Well, sure.
For a guy who basically was fired over a comment made to a black athlete in a sport that's predominantly black, and this guy's pegged as someone that said some words that have him deemed as not a good guy.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, those that know him are speaking very highly of him. Terrific coach, very good recruiters, going to do a great job. I've seen people in the know say, didn't think FGCU could get a candidate of this caliber. I've also seen others in the basketball trail who have said this is going to hurt on the recruiting trail. I'm just telling you it is. Okay. Reputations get tarnished, takes a while to overturn what's out there. And they are convinced. They're like, well, you're going to be able to negatively recruit FGCU now. So
well, that's what I see out of this. This seems to me would be pretty easy to negatively recruit against him. So we shall see.
But, he was with Jay Wright. He successful as a head coach. I mean, won an NIT championship, took BU to the NCAAs for all intents and purposes, took Penn State to the NCAA tournament. It was canceled because of the pandemic. Had a 500 record, 9 years at Penn State. That doesn't sound impressive if you don't know college basketball. That's pretty impressive. I mean, they play 2/3 of their schedule in the Big Ten, where they're usually one of the 3 worst programs.
Right.
So that's going to be the new coach. He's 51, I believe. One of the things I'm curious about is this just a 2-year stepping stone? Is this what Joe Dooley thought FGC was going to be? Joe thought he was going to come from Kansas, 1 or 2 years. Comer and Thompson had 2 years left. And he was going to do the 2 years with Comer and Thompson. They had Feeler for a year, and he was going to, boom, gone. And instead he ended up being here 5.
I would imagine that's what Pat Chambers thinks when he comes, but it doesn't always work that way.
Right. So is this just a stepping stone to get back in and back to where he was with a major program as head coach? Or is this like, what?
Or at least a tweener between where he was at Penn State and here.
Yeah.
Almost to what Joe did. Get to a
mid-major.
Yeah.
Right.
Because a mid-major, you're getting paid close to $1 million. Here, you're getting paid a third of that.
And then the other story is the FGCU women. They won the conference tournament, so you knew they were going to be in last night. But for a team that's ranked 20th in one poll, 23rd in another, who's ranked 18th in the RPI, which they don't go by anymore, who's ranked 39th in the net, which would make them a 10 seed, FGCU got a 12 seed.
And I was hoping for the 10. You thought they were going to be an 8-9. To me, I was hoping they get a 10 because there's not a 2 if their game's not on they can't play with.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, Baylor would be tough because they've got a post. But, yeah, UConn's a 2. I actually think FGCU can roll the ball out with UConn and stay on the floor. I really do. I mean, I'm not convinced that FGCU wouldn't have the best player on the floor. And that's even with UConn. So they're a dangerous team. But many FGCU fans are going, what do we have to do to get respect? And clearly the answer is now simple. They got to win tournament games.
Games.
They
got to
win.
get to a Sweet 16.
Yeah. They got to win tournament games. They've won 2 before. They won 1 as a 7. It's the only game they've ever been expected to win by seeding. And they won a game as a 12. They beat 5th seeded Missouri. So they get Virginia Tech, who's been playing without their 2 best players. Ironically, one of them was at Liberty last year. The word was she transferred to get away from FGCU because she said, I'll never make the tournament as long as we got to go through FGCU. So she transfers to Va Tech. She's in the tournament.
And she's got FGCU.
And if by chance they beat FGCU, beat Va Tech in a 5-12, the expectation is they will play Maryland, who's the host, and the 4 seed. I think they can play with both these teams. I feel very comfortable in saying I think they can play with both these teams.
They've got the best player on the floor for both games.
I believe so. That helps a lot.
I like to start with that.
Yeah.
In any game.
Right. Well, I think they have the best player and the best coach. So I think they got a fighter's shot. But it's time to win games. And for the FGCU fan base, there's no doubt you're not getting the respect from the NCAA committee. I mean, last year, nationally ranked, got an 11 seed. This year, nationally ranked, got a 12 seed. So clearly at this point, you got to shove it up some people's attention span. That's what has to happen.
You got to get their attention.
Yeah.
And you do that by winning 2 games. Not 1, 2 games.
So here we go. And they, I believe, play Friday. So in theory, it'll be Friday, Sunday for them if they can win. And they'll be in College Park, Maryland. They'll play Virginia Tech. And then if they win, they'll most likely get Maryland. So there you have it. Big week at FGCU.
We'll give you, today was a day when, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what's on tap. That's how we finish it on Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Was that Lairi? Mark. Was that Lairi? The guy that's in the lead?
Yeah.
He's in his bag right now. That was a hell of a shot. You guys ever heard that expression?
No.
He's in his bag.
No, I've never. It's not a golf phrase. I'd stop if I were you.
It's a sports phrase. He's in his bag of tricks.
Uh-oh, get up. Oh.
That's where it should be every time.
Oh. 2 inches and it sucks back. No problem, Mongo.
Bang.
Well, yeah, it will be interesting to see if he moves.
Well, by the way, the presser's tomorrow at 10 now. It's been moved.
It got moved?
I saw a tweet. Yeah, because he couldn't get down here. Travel problems. Hardwig tweeted it out. I thought I retweeted it, but because they are such a smart group of people over there. They can't even schedule a press conference, David.
Ooh, wow. That was a hell of a shot.
When did they send that out?
Hartwig tweeted it out at some point during the show.
Great. It's funny because, oh, by the way, Michael Fly is coaching FGCU in this, what's it called now? The
NIT.
No,
whatever.
It used to be the CIT. It's now been renamed.
Right.
And, yeah, they're playing Detroit Mercy on Wednesday.
Wait, so he's going to coach this game after they announce the new coach?
Yep.
God, that is so awkward. Why?
Well, because first off, it makes him look good. He's already auditioning for.
That's true. Yes. Yes.
The other thing is, do you want somebody else coaching your team?
No. But you can't just wait till after.
Well, we got to remember, if you don't coach, you're abandoning the kids.
No. I'm saying like for the press conference and stuff.
Well, what are you going to do? Wait. And remember, they could win 5 games here. You don't know. What are you going to do? Wait 3 weeks?
That's a good point. Wait, is this the only game that's in Alico, or is the tournament hosted by
No.
us? Oh.
Yeah, here it is. Announces Pat Chambers is new head coach, but has moved introductory press conference to Tuesday at 10 a.m. due to travel issues with getting his family in town, according to John Sinnett.
Gotcha. Hey, LeBron's the greatest 37-year-old in basketball history.
Are we sure about that?
Who else?
Well, Kareem was still pretty good at 37.
Pretty good or this good?
Well, I think you're right, but
Kareem was averaging 14 a game when he was 37.
he was also on a much better team. But yes,
That is a good point. Yes.
no, I think you're right. I mean, he's better at this age than Jordan even was.
I mean, he's chasing a scoring title. And 2 years ago, he won the assist title. Nothing makes sense at this point.
Oh, Debbie, they don't give a crap about us. They don't do anything. No.
15 seconds.
That's the funniest thing I've ever read.
All right, we're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
18 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. So apparently the 10 a.m. press conference for today has already been canceled.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Was there anything we said?
The family couldn't get in town, I guess, is from what I'm. Greg Hardwig tweeted something out about 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Well, good. I listen, I'm just making sure we're not getting yelled at about something.
I'm not too worried about it.
No, I'm not either, really. But, I mean, we get blamed for enough. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't our doing. So, all right. So it's tomorrow, I guess.
Tomorrow at 10.
All right.
But he's officially the coach.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been a
done deal.
Badly kept secret. Yeah. So.
That's very accurate. It has been a badly kept secret.
What is interesting is that FGCU accepted an invitation to play in what used to be called the CIT, and now it's like the basketball challenge, I think it's called.
Okay.
And it's a 32-team field, and they're going to host Detroit Mercy on Wednesday. Pat Chambers will not be coaching the team. Michael Fly will be coaching the team.
That's awkward.
It's a little awkward,
isn't it?
But when you think about it, it's your team.
No, I know.
You know, I mean, we talk all the time about you get into coaching. I mean, and we see it during the regular season. Coaches are notified with a few weeks left in the season, hey, you're not coming back. And they go, all right, I'll finish out the year. And so he had a decision to make. He said yesterday when he was interviewed, hey, why are you doing it? He goes, well, first off, we had to put it up, vote to the team, say if they wanted to play in this. And they said, yeah, we want to play. And then us coaches said, well, if you guys are playing, then, you're our guys. We put you here. Then nobody else is coaching you but us. Oh, okay. And when when you say it like that, it makes sense. But when you say it as in, hey, they've been fired and they're still going to coach them.
Right. I get it from the coach's standpoint. There's part of me from the university standpoint that makes it really awkward. When you fire someone, it's pack your stuff up and go. I mean, what's his face at LSU isn't going to be coaching them in the tournament.
Well, you do have to admit there are extenuating circumstances there. They've got them on FBI tapes.
I understand that. And I can't believe it took this long.
Right.
But fired is fired. I mean, speaking from two guys who understand the definition of fired.
Right. Right. I mean, that is true. Like you were told literally during a show on a Monday that your contract was not going to be picked up and it expired at the end of the week. And you came back during the commercial break and said to me, well, just so you know, this is it. And I think I tried to lighten the mood jokingly and say, what, you're not going to finish the week? And the fact that you didn't strangle me, I thought was pretty good.
No, because it was one of those firings, and those of them been fired a lot know this. Sometimes firings hurt badly. There are other times that you feel like the weight of the world's off your shoulders.
Right.
That one was B. With that being said, let's get enough of that and
Let's
move
go.
on to this.
Right, multiple choice.
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
You know, I don't have much for today. You know how you do the omissions and what have you? I have a feeling I'm leaving a lot out today. I'm only going back to 1962, first off.
Wow.
Yeah. Gordie Howe scored his 500th goal. He was, at the time, just the second player in NHL history to score 500 goals. On this day in 64, Jack Ruby sentenced to death for killing Lee Harvey Oswald. Ruby would die a few years later in prison from cancer. Mark, on this day in 1967, I love the fact the draft took place in the NFL. Bubba Smith, the number one pick of the draft by the Baltimore Colts, 55 years ago today. So on this day in 1972, the Cincinnati Royals of the NBA, citing poor attendance, moved to Kansas City. I think they renamed themselves the Kings, right?
Right.
Mark, on this day in 1973, John McCain was released from a North Vietnamese POW camp after spending over 5 years in it. 1981, this is the day, Mark. This is the day. It's the last year NBC had the NCAA tournament. Second round. Back to back to back. First, St. Joe's with a driving layup at the buzzer stuns Mark Aguirre, Ray Meyer, and number one ranked DePaul 49-48. They barely show that. They get it back to Bryant Gumbel in the studio because he's not on the Today Show yet, and he throws it to a West Regional where Rolando Blackman for Kansas State hits a corner jumper to take down second-ranked Oregon State by 2. Remember, number 1 DePaul, number 2 Oregon State.
Right.
Right. Then they throw it back to Bryant Gumbel. He says, we got to go down final seconds of the second round game between Arkansas and Louisville. Louisville, the defending national champs, come all the way back from a big deficit, hit a shot with under 5 seconds to go to take a 73-72 lead. Louisville's going to win it. Arkansas inbounds it to U.S. Reed, who's got his head down. He's dribbling through players like they're cones. He's damn near falling out of bounds at midcourt, and he heaves one from his right hip. Swish. Arkansas takes out the defending national champs 74-73. Literally all happened live, back to back to back, within 3 minutes.
Can't wait for Thursday.
It's really when it started to become madness. That moment was really when it started to become madness. 1997, Joey Mullen, first American to score 500 goals in the NHL. At the time, he was the 25th player to ever do it. This is forgotten, but in 1998, the Harvard women were actually the very first 16 seed to beat a 1. They beat Stanford in the women's tournament 71-67. Stanford lost their best player right before the tournament, a post. Harvard came in, obviously given no shot, like a 30-something point underdog. Beat them. 2011 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Alice Cooper, Neil Diamond, Tom Waits. And 4 years ago, you know Scott and Mark Kelly, the astronauts? Mm-hmm. One of them, I think, is now a senator or is running for Senate. They're identical twins. Well, Scott Kelly spent a year in space. And when he came back, NASA gave him a full physical and said, yeah, you and your brother are no longer identical twins because your genealogy has been altered by 7% by being in space for a year.
Wow.
Lee Petty was born on this day in 1914. Bob Golby, born on this day in 29. Don Haskins in 1930. Wes Unseld in 46. And Kirby Puckett would have been 62 today. Baseball pitcher Kevin Brown is 57. Grandmama Larry Johnson is 53. Ron Dane, 44. Steph Curry's 34. Simone Biles, 25. Marvin Bagley is 23. Quincy Jones and Michael Caines are 89. Billy Crystal, 74. And that is today was the day.
I got nothing on omissions. I thought you'd missed the Quincy Jones, and he was responsible for paying for most of your senior year in high school.
Yes, he was.
Producer of the album Thriller.
Yes, he was. Thank you, Quincy.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I'll tell you what, this seems like a match made in heaven for me. But at Luxury Loud, which is a dispensary in the Detroit area, they also have Stradix quality Polish food as a truck there. And they had a great event to raise money for Ukrainian children yesterday. It was the pot and pierogi event. I don't know of two things that could ever go better. There's no more of that story you even have to read. Pot, pierogies. It's win-win. For the bad, David, we go to Georgia, and I'm just going to read you the headline of this story. Large parachuting spiders could soon invade the East Coast.
Wow.
The non-native Euro spider population exploded last year in Georgia, and they say it could be as bad this year. The spiders, which are about the size of the palm of your hand, could be taking over the East Coast with giant webs and giant spiders. Beware. Finally, the ugly. We go to Spring Hill, Florida, where Tom Colucci made the emergency call around 7 p.m. on Thursday. He bought some meth, and it wasn't getting him high enough, so he called the police to report the person who sold the drugs to see if they could test his meth.
Listen, I paid for the good stuff, and I've been ripped off.
That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March the 14th, 2022.
You better go over to Smokey's house and arrest his ass.
Unbelievable. Got the players going on right now, David.
Right?
Should be going on pretty much all day long. They're just about wrapping up the third round now.
And then they'll redo the threesomes and send them off late morning, so it shouldn't be a problem. They'll have plenty of sunlight for a playoff if needed and that sort of deal. So no basketball tonight, at least not college. You know, we got a little NBA, NHL, that sort of deal. So,
one game in the NHL, Arizona and Ottawa. Not a big sports night out there.
No, it is not. But we thank you for spending this Monday morning with us, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your